I saw very few, but not because I didn't want to. Just did not get
There
to
were
it.
some very good movies that were not nominated. And I'm still not over the fact that last year Interstellar should have been not only nominated, but should have been recognized.
I thought The Martian was better than Interstellar, but I know not everybody agrees with that.
I mean, they're both very
I
good.
guessed
Literally.
everything that was going on in Stellar immediately.
You didn't know
It was
going-
ridiculous. The second I saw all the room, I'm like, oh, okay, that makes sense. This is not.
But the
Wait,
science behind it.
So
is
you
very
predicted the entire movie based on the first few scenes? Was that what you said?
In the preview.
I couldn't predict it even at the very end.
I was very upset.
Leo so deserved that Oscar.
Finally.
I don't want to see it.
I think he got the Oscar not just for that movie.
Sharing our
For all of
screen.
them.
All right.
Someone
Got the
It was like
recording
that, we're
moving.
sorry, here you go.
made a compilation of all his loses.
Hopefully the sound is good
But it's
today.
funny because you can see his reaction. There's like this whole thing on the internet. Poor Leo, that would be an Oscar. Never knew.
Oh, poor guy.
He was really good.
All right.
Hey, that takes me back.
What's up?
I thought I was bringing a big one.
This is not all president. This is just me saving money.
I was torn between coffee or soda.
I only do coffee. I do soda after.
I can't do coffee.
Something gets me jittery inside. I like to drink it when it's colder outside. But I hate drinking coffee when it's hot.
Gotcha.
I like hot coffee. I don't like drinking hot coffee when it's hot outside.
I'll drink coffee anyway.
Do you mind opening the
Oh.
carton?
Not at all.
Yes.
But you should see me on a long distance flight. First 3 hours, I'm drink. Yeah, well, that's fine.
We're having dinner now?
23.
So you cook it
Dinner
down?
now?
No,
You brought it in.
Yeah, then you wake up with a gun.
Back in high school. Not in basketball though.
And don't ask me what happens in between. Like a flag. I'm only drinking the first one.
Hey, girl.
Fine.
Very good. Things are proceeding rapid pace.
Last year the Oscar Bergman.
It made me dizzy a few times with this
It made me dizzy. Just
fake one shot.
Bergman.
It's also very strange. How about the acting?
I like weird movies.
Didn't you
Weird,
love
good
though
movie.
when he got locked
A
out?
lot of
and
good,
he had to
weird
walk around
movies.
in his underwear?
Oh, that, yeah, by far that was the best.
That was the best.
I
It
love
looked
that.
like it wasn't even staged. It looked like he just did.
Half naked men on the street. Those are winners for me. See, I remember watching that. I was like, that really wasn't that great. Like, they're not winning it. Sure up.
Which one? Robert, man? I don't like it.
Yeah, I don't mind weird movies at all.
I mean, it's a good movie to watch, but best picture, the year that Interstellar was out. Despite the fact that a lot of people didn't like Interstellar, there was a lot of work in it.
Anytime a movie has science, it's automatically going to turn off.
Yeah. Regardless if it's accurate or educational, or based on fact.
Yeah.
I like it.
My guy needs to be crazy, like, we have to be crazy. How further over the final break I'm done teaching government. I don't even know the exact date grade.
Me and Mark. So that's the vegetarian option. Mark will be providing a hot meat option.
A lot of meat.
Yeah, It sounds bad, but he said it's
You gotta have like extra sound effects.
They're doing a hot meat off.
That's right.
You're doing a hot eat out. So it's all that you said.
That's
I
good.
got the vegetarian sandwiches, and you bring a hot meat.
Yeah, that's coming up, 10 to 7.
Nice.
Fresh out of the
Awesome. Well, we discussed getting people drinks.
Oh, it was a good discussion to have. Did we conclude everything?
Nobody snapped.
Okay.
We only talked about the food.
We will certainly figure it out.
No, I don't know, I'm gonna bring that.
Looks like most of us-
How's everybody doing?
Looks like most of us already have water or something.
We have 10 people.
Okay.
I'm not going out.
Let's see, who are we waiting for? We got Crystal, Amy. I heard Amy hurt her leg. I don't know if she's planning on coming tonight. But let's see if she can make it.
You're the first one? Oh, it's good stuff.
Did you get all of that?
I actually got a worker.
I looked. Almost everybody turned in their interviews. It's fantastic. You guys are on time.
It said they submitted, but I wasn't sure if I did it really do it.
Well, if you click back on it, it should tell you when you submitted, and you should be able to look at what you submitted.
It even tells you like the hour of time.
Yeah.
What happened?
The submission for the interview assignment. They wanted to know if I got the submission or not. Yeah. So yeah, I looked. There were lots of different files in there. Kurt even put in an MP3, so I can listen to it.
Oh, you listen to my interview?
I'm not going to listen to your interviews.
I wanted the.
I was like, oh, I could listen to that. No, I don't want to listen to that.
I sent you the link to the YouTube video and I uploaded it.
Oh,
There's
okay.
a nice imagery going on there.
Cool. I haven't read any of them. I just glanced at the assignment
Did you
page.
want the actual sound or
No.
no?
No sound. Don't send the sound. That's okay.
You wanted part of the
I did more than
interview
10
transcribed, right?
questions, I've got for a little while.
Oh, wow. That sounds exciting. Oh, okay. Well, let's get started. Why don't we talk about the interviews first?
Okay.
Since y'all got your interviews in, what did you learn?
A lot.
I learned.
But I have a question first.
Question first. Okay.
We were supposed to transcribe only part of every interview, not the whole thing.
The
Right?
important parts.
The important part.
Well, I mean, it's most of the interview
Well,
probably.
I sent the audio that I downloaded file from YouTube, which has some mistakes. It's in there.
Mhm.
And I fixed the important parts, like I said.
Hmm.
And what I learned was that students do have their own understanding about things. So my question,
Sure.
my first question was, what do you think the internet is and how does it work? And it was really amazing that, okay, it's computers and it runs on electricity. And one of my questions was, what happens when there's a power outage? And the reasoning that they gave me, I mean, it's hilarious. Like maybe the internet will be down only in your area, but across the street, the internet will go on, and that's how it reaches everybody and so on. And one of the questions was, how does email work? And they think that the further the other computer is, or the further the person is, the longer it's gonna take the email to reach them. And they have estimates still, like China, maybe 10 minutes. Canada is probably 3.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you actually notice that they do come into class with a lot of perception and misconceptions as well.
Excellent. Why don't let's put this in the quick write. Oh. Cool. All right. What did you have?
Figure out that's on the top of the move.
Yes, very top of the page.
Okay.
Let's see if I do this right.
Or open a new window.
Open a new window.
Change. Oh, there it is. Quick.
And
You just typed
To
it
the
out.
top.
I typed in your box?
Get here.
Oh, sorry, type over me.
Somehow.
Somehow. Cool. So if you go to the top of the page, very top, there's 2 important links. Those 2 links. Yeah.
I'm a little tired.
You get the hang of it.
I haven't done.
You would like the list or the topic?
Topic. Yeah. Mm.
Yeah, I don't know what that is.
Well, see,
That's awesome.
that basically. This-
That's even worse. I could achieve it.
Cool. So Mark, who are you interviewing?
Oh, I did 2 lap yoga instructors, which conveniently, one of them was the person who made the dinner that's gonna be here at 7:00.
Fabulous.
So
Excellent.
the other one, actually it's my daughter, who's also a certified electric yoga instructor.
Nice.
And so, it's kind of interesting because, I mean, I've dealt with a bunch just in their lives because I know them.
Mhm.
Doing it in this academic setting is, it's kind of interesting. It just gives it a certain rigor, I guess you could say.
Hmm.
Asking them these protocol.
Does it get serious then?
Yeah. I'll clap for you.
Natural.
And you know, the thing about interviewing that really surprised me was people basically, if you ask a problem, they give you a giant sentence.
Hmm.
It's just this giant sentence. And there's so, yeah.
Yeah, there's no periods and commas.
Yeah.
You
It's
gotta,
really funny.
you gotta add them.
Which is easy to do, but it's so funny how speech just, there are these little glue words that hold together. Of course, in a question, they know they're not gonna get interrupted.
Uh-huh.
There aren't quite as many glue words as there are regular, you know. But it just cracked me up. There's just sentences went out forever. But it's easy to slice and dice in the you know, after the transcription.
Yeah. If you tried to map out the sentence structure, it'd be very complicated.
Very complicated.
Yeah, speech is, and you don't think about it.
Mm.
Because speech, if somebody is answering, you know, a long, open-ended prompt, then.
So Donnie, is that if you put a ice cube on top of a metal block? Is that the idea?
Yeah.
Gotcha. That's almost like my dissertation work. That was almost like my dissertation.
Oh, really?
I was talking to kids about heat and cold and all that stuff.
Yeah, I just gave a lesson in my lesson study. That is
Oh, very cool. Cool.
Their answers were like completely off base. And I was through my interview calls. I was like, how would you think?
Because they haven't learned yet.
I know, it's just, you forget those things though.
Island, who are you talking to?
Well, makes sense. It's
Who were you talking to? What's that?
To my students.
So students, not teachers. Okay, cool. It's interesting. What did they think?
They thought technology with the screen powered by other. And it's funny because we talk about technology in ancient history.
All right.
And we're like, it doesn't necessarily have to be powered by other. They said, oh, give me that answer. Because anything with the screen that's powered by other.
But I came to some.
So it's a very, very modern, focused view of technology.
But when I didn't get it, actually, it was that was over.
Yeah.
I get this question when I independent work. Okay, you gotta have playlists, 3 or 4 days. So I decided to interview them on that idea of listening to music.
Mm-hmm.
What about listening to music helps you do? So that's probably why I was going to listen to music. A lot of them said it, it doesn't make you think. Most students said it helps me flow.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started asking them, and I got a brain of interviews with somebody. I found in that case that technology, music can help you. Which is interesting because our district frowned on technology, especially cell phones, because they have music players on their cell phones. And I don't use them. So it's just interesting to find out why that question.
So they were pretty pro music, I'm guessing.
Oh, yeah, they're very pro.
Yeah.
It was something I wanted to interview them on because when they asked me and I said yes, their face just lights up. Oh, wow. What did I do?
How many of you listen to music when you work? It's like half.
It distracts them.
Does it matter what kind?
I can't do it. It does for me.
Matters a lot.
So what kinds do you need? Is it lyrics or no lyrics?
Both.
Do something that's like I hate Dave Matthews, but when I wrote my thesis in college, I would always write it like 3 a.m. to this one Dave Matthews album over and over again. 'Cause I didn't like have to listen to it, but it was like really calming.
I think it's a,
And then you'll always think of every time you hear Dave Matthews, you'll think of
feminist,
writing.
I think it just depends on what you're doing. Like I was assembling a drum set, blasting music, and if you're trying to write to something focused, paper or something, you have to have kind of.
Yeah, I definitely think the
Volume.
lyrics interfere with
Yeah,
words
if
when
I
I'm trying to
was
write
to
something.
read
Oh, see, lyrics I'm okay, it's the volume, like the volume messes me up. If I'm like blasting versus serious writing thing, but it can have lyrics, it's just, it has to be at a certain volume.
Okay. And that's fairly low, is that what you're saying? Or it has to be blasting?
No, fairly low when I'm writing versus driving.
Interesting. Yeah. What about people who don't listen to any music? What happens if you had music on?
I can't work.
You drift away.
Oh, I listen to the music only.
Music is like a
Doesn't matter if there's lyrics, no lyrics, any
Something like
genre.
that.
doesn't-
Like I can listen to music while I'm like cleaning my room, but not if I have to do something. Like
Yeah.
if it's cognitively engaging, I guess I can, but
Yeah.
other stuff.
If I have to use, if I have to use language, I can't. do it.
Yeah,
What about instrumental? Could you listen to? No?
I like it. No,
That
that's worse.
doesn't even count as music.
No, it's worse. I like it more.
It's worse. Okay.
Don't laugh, but I like to write and correct my exams while listening to Kanye West and Eminem.
Oh my god.
And any particular reason why they just get you in the
Depending on
mood?
the answer that is put in.
Is Is that an angry thing? Are you?
Oh no, it's just calming me down when
It has a beat to it.
somebody else is stressing. You know, I don't have to.
Okay. All right.
I do it. It's fun. Makes
Interesting.
correcting the test easier.
Interesting. See, we could have interviewed this whole group. Yeah, there's all kinds of answers there. Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, really.
But I mean, you notice how like different people. I mean, I don't think you would find a type of music that everybody would be happy with. I think that would be a
I'll shout.
challenge.
I make my students listen to Adele when we're doing like quiet work.
Mhm.
But they started
That's
singing.
harsh.
If they know the song, they started singing.
That's
Yeah,
harsh if they
yeah.
are not fans.
Uh-huh.
But at this point, we are all fans of Adele. And if it's I'm like a really chubby white woman they know, they all decided because I had my hair blondish growing out, they're like, you look like Adele. I was like, you're just so sweet, Adele. I do not look like Adele, thank you.
Cool. Verity, did you discover anything cool about teachers? I'm very interested to know what they said.
It was actually, I was interviewing 2 seniors at our school, and it was about the teachers' use. They were very critical with the lack of skill that teachers have, like extremely critical. And it was very entertaining because I know.
But they weren't talking about themselves. They were talking about
No,
other
it
teachers?
was students
They were
talking
talking
about
about-
teachers.
Oh, this was students. Oh,
Yeah,
gotcha.
no, it was students. I was interviewing 2 seniors at our school.
Oh, okay. I was thinking senior teachers. All right, all right, gotcha.
Senior high school students. They're ready to graduate, and they're some of our most advanced students. So
Alright.
it was interesting how they could see the deficiencies,
Uh,
and it just makes them angry that all this money is being spent and people don't know how to use it. They don't even have batteries in the pen, and like they got very heated and it had to calm them down.
mm.
And then their basic summation was that teachers only care about grades and not about students, which is kind of sad after 12 years of school that that's your thought process.
Why would we care about grades?
Because administration cares about grades. That's all you
Why do
actually.
we care about them? They hope the kids do it.
Yeah,
I guess.
exactly. No,
Alright.
that was their. It was a very negative interview.
Mm.
It was interesting,
Didn't have a good school experience. Huh?
and you would never know from talking to them. Like, they're happy people. When they got, I guess the questions hit nerves that were very long.
Mm. I mean, I'm sure we've all been there, seeing people struggling with technology, and you know how to do something, and you're having to watch them try to figure it out. That is one of the most painful things.
Apparently, it happens all the time.
That doesn't have to be, just go help.
That's true. Exactly. If you have that kind of an environment, then you can help. All right, cool. Anything else that people would love to share with the group about their interview? We talked about a few of them.
We asked George about the lemonade focus.
Oh, yeah. I was doing this social skills activity with kids with autism. And it's weird because independently they both mentioned lemonade, which really had nothing to do with what we were doing. So I guess they were just really both like lemonade and like thirsty or something. Because I showed them this like video that remark on social skills stuff going on in it. And then at the end of the interview, when I was transcribing it, I was like, lemonade. And then the second kid, like, lemonade, I don't remember that. There's just-
Was it in the video? Is it?
No.
Faint
Sure, yeah. I think so.
Maybe there's like a glass off.
lemon smell.
And then after lunch, we did what happened
Because your question had nothing to do with it. That's why I was like, what?
I'm not sure if it's particular to California. I just found it very interesting. I interviewed a 10th grader. I was surprised by how many times he said the word like.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I can think.
Like-
What? It's the valley, right? We're in the valley.
Well,
But I'm not. I'm 70 miles away and they have the same problem.
Every other word was like.
Oh boy.
Hopefully I messed it up.
Can I tell them, please? For our talent show, we had a finale of Whip It Day Day. At practice, there's a room and her move was breaking.
Oh, no.
Oh.
Yes, it's not broken. So she hurt her minute. I won't be here next week because I have an MRI for this.
Oh, we'll be thinking of you.
Yeah,
and we'll record it.
Oh, my MRI.
If it's anything like that.
Yes, we want you to send pictures.
That recording was.
Note from your doctor.
It was like.
The
it
chipmunk,
started
the
going
chipmunk
on,
noise.
And then it got faster and faster, and by the end, I couldn't understand. It was like, and then at the end, it got demonized. Like, I don't know what that was.
Wow.
It was crazy.
We think we fixed it,
Okay. I
but
tried
we'll
my
find out this
best.
week if we did or not.
Oh, was that 2
This
weeks ago?
the chipmunk sound
It
Yeah,
got
but-
like progressively faster.
What
and
was it,
faster.
last
On-
week or
on
2
the
weeks
rec-
ago?
no, because we fixed it at the end of last
Oh,
week. We think. Okay, so what we discovered is that this computer, at least when it's on my account, it uses the microphone that's attached to this thing. Apparently has a microphone in it, and I'm hoping that was the problem. It sounded okay. Yeah, check it out. This computer, at least when it's on my account, it uses the microphone that's much better.
So it was overriding the internal microphone
Right.
computer and using another device?
Yes,
That's so weird.
I have no idea why.
It wasn't overriding, it's just your option of what microphone. to
Right.
use. It was just
And for whatever reason, it was set on the other one. I can't imagine I would have ever done that intentionally.
No, but what happens is if the basic computer, if you attach what it thinks is a
Peripheral.
microphone,
Yeah.
like if you attach an external microphone, it figures, oh, this guy's serious, he's using an external mic. And I think it'll default to that external one because it thinks it's better.
And why that would start sounding like a chipmunk? I
Well,
don't
that's a separate issue.
know.
I don't have an answer for that.
All right, well, let's turn to the process of interviewing,
Gross.
right? And there's lots of comments here about people getting off topic. That seems to be a very typical thing. What do you do? People get off topic. Can you cut them off?
Ask the question.
But back to the question.
Yeah, you can sort of feel them back.
Yeah. Yep. Is there? What about people who just don't say anything? Did anybody have that problem? I've heard that in the
Long
past.
pauses.
Mhm. So what did you do?
We had long pauses.
Just wait it out? You wait them out?
Yeah, because it wasn't emotional, like, they were angry, so it was just the long pause of, like, they didn't want to curse, because I told them they were turning it in, so they were trying to, like, correct their, yeah. So it was just a long pause.
They were trying to think of some
They were thinking of
non-curse
other
to
words.
say.
This didn't do a really long really
Yeah.
long.
Yeah.
How do they put you?
A lot of yeah.
Well, those are easy to transcribe, right?
Yeah.
But it was just really long. It's like for a minute, just going.
They're hoping you're going to bail them out, right?
And then he didn't really answer the question.
Mhm. Cool. So, what was successful in transcription
Oh, boy, I'll tell you that.
or unsuccessful?
If you have a Mac, it's really nice to use the play and pause button.
Yeah, someone taught me that after.
And so
it's
I had
all
a
done.
really, it only took me like 30 minutes. to finish
Oh, okay.
it.
So you're playing the
I
audio.
play like a
on-
sentence, type it,
Type it by hand.
and then play again.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was
I
just
did the same, like, but I did it with an iPod just next to it, so I could do it, type it.
okay.
I
It's
see
on
why
my
people get
iPad,
paid to do that.
right? I tried it in Google.
Buddy?
I used your method. I put it on
With the YouTube?
And then when I saw that it was going to take me more time to correct the thing, I started playing it on slow motion. And if it's saying it in slow-mo, I was able to transcribe
To
very
keep up with
fast
it?
because I type fast. So I think that would work.
Yeah, the old transcription machines, what they do is they have this foot pedal, which you can either go forward or go back 5 seconds. You have a back 5 seconds thing, and so you press it and it plays, and you can, I forget how it worked. You press it a different way and you go back 5 seconds, and that was pretty much the only controls people needed.
It was actually interesting. I interviewed 2 teachers, and the first one, she had so much to say, and it was really hard. I would only get, because this was before you showed us, I transcribed it the weekend before. So it would only be like 5 words, and then I have to pause it and go back, and it took me forever. But the second teacher is actually, she's not a native English speaker, and it was so easy to do hers in comparison. So that was
It's not quite as
surprising to me.
verbose.
Yes, how different the styles were of the 2 women.
Samantha?
I recorded on my phone and I used Google Docs, the speak feature, and one kid, it was like a hot mess. even though I thought he was speaking, maybe he didn't speak loudly enough. I don't know. The other kid, it worked a lot better. But in general, I mean, I did it, and then I realized I spent a lot of time looking for different apps to see if I could find something to transcribe and tried Dragon, all these other ones. Like they were all like kind of fails, and I realized I type quicker than any app or transcription thing does. Like I shouldn't even mess with Google Docs. I type quicker than that.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what happened to me too. I used to Google Docs and it would stop transcribing. Like
Yeah.
it would transcribe for maybe just a few seconds and then all of a sudden it would stop.
You'll get confused.
So
You need a break.
yeah, I ended up typing it out too and that was faster.
It's a slow process, right?
Yeah.
Just really quick, I found it really successful to use a Mac, and it had those earbuds that has a little control, and then I can listen to it, just press the button. and pause.
So you can do the pause.
Just press it again.
But then you've got to get your hands way off the keyboard. Like, right?
I use Dragon on my iPad.
Uh-huh.
I just put it next to the speaker and I played the interviews through my speaker and then walked away and transcribed the whole thing and then listened to it again and fixed it.
How was it good, bad?
There were some mistakes and some missed comments.
So there's a lot of
But
corrections
there
to
was
do.
quiet talking that didn't pick it up.
I used a pro audio recorder, one of those little ones that they'll use on set sometimes.
Mm.
So the audio's first class. And then I fed it into Dragon, and Dragon has a transcription intake mode. Because if you do the microphone, you're automatically going to lose something.
Right.
But if you write mouse, there's a transcription, and it worked like a house of fire. It was really good.
Nice.
That was ridiculously good. So the Dragon list price is $50.
And did it recognize different speakers? Is it that good?
Absolutely.
Wow. Fantastic.
Yeah, now, my Dragon's trained to me, because I do, when I'm grading, like in Moodle, I'll move the cursor and then I'll just talk to grade.
Uh-huh.
That works really well. That's real time. But when it reads the transcription file, it takes it at whatever pace it's able to deal with it. I put on the, the task manager, so I could see how much CPU is being used, just for chuckles to see how hard it was working. Yeah, I mean, it was on this machine. It was working pretty good. I didn't care how long I took.
Mhm.
Because it's a machine. I can go
Just let it run. Yeah.
Oh, man, did that work?
How expensive is Dragon these days?
$50.
Oh.
Ed version, you get,
And the free version.
yeah, free version, it might be the $50 thing made the difference. I don't know.
Yeah.
But because I went and bought the $50, because consider if something like that works, $50 is really, really cheap.
Yeah.
Whether it be transcription, whether it be doing automated grading like I'm doing. And you get fancy and you can get voice commands move around the screen and all that, but I don't get that fancy. But I'll tell you what, and the internal mic here is pretty good, but using a quality mic with automation, that's the ticket you're doing very much.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah.
All right. Good to know. Cool. And did anybody send theirs to somebody for transcription?
I was tempted.
There's what's the going rate now? It's like
I was gonna have to cook dinner.
it's like $5 a minute or something like that.
Yeah, I was kind of like, it's just like financially not worth it. I'd rather.
Well, my wife does that professionally. She charges 15 cents a line for medical transcription.
15
and
cents
by the
a
way,
line.
Dragon spelled ankylosing spondylitis correctly. And I'm going, damn,
I can't
how'd you know that. Couldn't believe it.
That's what the $50 was.
I think that might be what the
Wow.
$50 is doing. Yeah.
Nice.
She made dinner tonight. She's not
She'd have to transcribe herself, right? Wasn't she one of the interviewees?
Oh, she could have. Yeah. No, I thought that was just too much of the love of bus man's holiday for her. So I didn't-
That's interesting.
Plus, I wanted to experience the tech and see if Dragon would do transcription.
Nice. Well, I mean, yeah, for a small interview like this, it doesn't really make sense to send it out. But I mean, if you do a lot of interviews for your research, it's an option. Keep yourself sane. Let somebody else do the painful work. And
That's the
See
same
that?
as Sam. I think I wasted too much time trying to find this thing. I should have just did it.
Like, yeah. It's so frustrating. I was like, I'm a really quick typer. Why am I spending all this time? Because I'm just like, it must be something. And I posted on Facebook asking for people's help, and I got annoying techie answers with technology is not enough for radio. So I was like, it's not the answer I was looking for. Don't give me that answer.
cool. A couple more things about interviews. Yeah.
Just a side quick note before we're moving on. I want to say thanks to Farouk. I downloaded free MS Office through my schools.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You were telling us about that last week.
Sure.
And you have to do it through the district, or how do you do it?
Yeah, well, I just on my computer, when I logged into the MS Office website, it took me to my school's little, put in my school email and use her password, just load it.
Yeah, they have it, it's free for education.
That's
They
great.
have a really nice program too, for music, right?
Yeah.
It's, what is it, Microsoft, like, Learning or something? And it has lesson plans and videos that have been like aggregated.
Yeah.
Oh, you can check out some of this out. Very cool.
It just came out with the Microsoft Sway, a new way to make presentations that are fancy.
Better than PowerPoint.
It's nice.
Yeah,
We're looking
Sway's
at
pretty.
PowerPoint.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Sway.
Right.
They're, if you can get.
Cool. Awesome. Okay. Well, let's. Sorry, Kurt. Did you have another thing on that?
No, I was just, going back to the transcription, I found a little add-on from Google that where I was able to upload the MP3. It didn't transcribe, but I could adjust the speed and add an easy keystroke and hitting the escape key to start and stop this.
In Drive?
No, it was just like a Chrome browser add-on.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Cool.
I don't have, it wasn't on this computer, so I don't recall it.
Yeah, there's some cool software out there. If you do video, that will synchronize the transcript with the video, and so you could like read the transcript. You see the video here, and you read the transcript. You can click on a line in the transcript, and it'll take you to that part of the video. It's pretty cool stuff. If you get into all that, why would you ever need video instead of audio?
To see what they're doing.
Yeah,
You can code facial stuff if you're getting into that.
Exactly. Facial stuff, gestures, right? We talked a little bit about gestures, if you're moving your hands and stuff, that could be really meaningful. Like if kids are working on the computer, you want to say, hey, what are they clicking on? So of course you can record the screen and then you can have that, but then you want to connect it to the transcript so you can see what they're doing and what they're saying at the same time. Cool. Did anybody do a think aloud where they had a task or something for the students to do while they were?
Well, I had like manipulatives, like,
Mhm.
and I thought that's what we had to do. So from like the conversation, so they had like toothpicks and tiles that they had. They weren't students, they were adults, and so they had to figure out like how many toothpicks it would take to surround like a certain shape that I had set up for them.
Okay.
And it was interesting because one of them, they were both male, but one of them didn't use it. Like he just saw it and knew, and the other one was really excited. They were in like their early 20s, and he was like, "Okay, 1, 2." So that was interesting to see
They use it in different ways.
that they used it in different ways. Or one of them was like didn't think they could use it, or they thought that they couldn't move it around. One of them did, and the other one was like, "I'm gonna use it. It's right here for me to use." That was kind of interesting.
Yeah. Cool. Nice. Yeah, it wasn't required, but that was one of the recommendations that can make an interview better, for sure. Cool. All right. Well, let's move on. So last week, as you recall, we had our big voting. Some of you missed the exciting voting. If you want to see the results, I posted a link to the results page. Let's see if this works. All right, there it goes. And yeah, so I forget exactly what it is. Present a statement of objectives at the beginning of class. All right, so we're all good with that? Is anyone objecting at this point, even though we've already voted? Now that you've had a week to think about it? All right, so we're good to go. What should we call this? We need a name for this. We're gonna study the effect of a statement of objectives.
Pardon?
Morning report?
It sounds different.
Okay.
Objective.
So like,
Daily objective. Objective of the day.
okay. All right. So what we've got, as you all remember this fun website, this is the Ed Research website. So there's a page on here called the Common Research Project page. So that's where we're going to keep all of our work for this activity. And for lack of a better title, it's just called this. But we could change it to something else like what do we do?
What's the efficacy of objectives though? Because that changes the part speech.
Objectives of efficacy.
Efficacy of stating objectives at the beginning of class.
The list of everything.
Get rid of these galactic orbits.
All right.
Yeah.
List of everything.
Objective of everything.
All right.
Say it.
Teaching objective.
There we go, okay, fine. Posting objectives and then
Or that.
put a dependent clause on there.
What if you already
Like,
got it all year?
Well-regulated militia being essential to.
Yeah, no,
What? Are we? That is one of the questions we have to ask. We've got to figure this out. All right. So-
Mine are posted and then
Well, yeah, you gotta effectuate it somehow.
and then they use it at the end.
All right. So we can adjust the title if someone comes up with something much wittier than that, I'm sure. All right. So we have a couple of things we need to do here. We've got to kind of flesh out the idea of what it is that we're going to do. And then we need to figure out if there's some literature on this, and what do we know about this subject, and what we can find out. There may not be literature exactly on this, but there's literature on things related to this, so we can find that. There may actually be some studies on exactly this, but you never know. But so we need to do a couple of things. We need to do literature. We also probably need to sort of, before we do that, we need to sort of spell out a little bit about what we want to do. And of course, in any good research, these are our key areas, right? You all probably, this is probably very familiar. Literature review, methods, data, and collecting data is what that means. And then the analysis of the data are two kind of separate things. In terms of the methods, I'm just going to point to this. There's two parts to any methods, right? One is the method of the thing you're trying. Like, as Kurt was asking, are we going to explain the objectives? Are they going to copy down the objectives? What are we going to do with that? And then the second part is like, how are we going to measure that? And what are we going to sort of assess about this thing we're doing? So there's two parts to that. We've got to figure out what's a good thing. I think we want to do like just some. Let's do like a little bit of a brainstorm about this, and then we're going to have to come up with some committees to work out some of the details on this, and we'll break into some groups. But for the first level, why don't we stick together for the very beginning part? So, what would people say? What we're going to post? What does it mean to post objectives? What do you think?
Just talking about just writing in the word, just usually what admin requires. Just write in the word, make sure it's specific, but most of the questions are not really. I think we should, make sure that students understand what is the objective, what they're going to learn.
Oh, okay. So maybe we got to talk about identifying the objectives.
Well, and gaining feedback that they somehow acknowledge this, maybe internalize the different way.
Students write it every day as part of their new math.
All right. So for people that do this already, what are the objectives? How do you know what the objectives are for a day?
The learning goals.
Yeah. Like at the end of the day, what they should be able to do or finish.
Measurable goal they should be able to accomplish by the end of the day.
For the day, what they should be able to accomplish? Are those the same things?
Accomplish your feelings, yeah. It's all intellectual stuff that they can't accomplish anything. They have to tell what year Columbus showed of America. That's demonstrating.
Well, I feel like regardless of, because it has to be measurable in some way, so.
So how would you state an accomplishment? Like, what would that look like? Is there an example?
So like today, mine was like students would be able to enlarge an image. So they had a small little picture and then they had to make it bigger. And so if they were able to do that, then they were able to meet the objective. I can read you exactly.
Okay, so something like that.
I know, like students will be able to Complete a video guide of food eating with 90% accuracy.
Ooh, that's persistence.
Head of department. Really into measuring things.
Oh, okay. Now, would you call that a learning goal? I guess because they're learning how to do something, right? So if they can do it, presumably they've learned how to do it.
Yeah.
What about for classes that are less process focused, right? Tech classes are highly process driven.
They can accomplish a task.
All right.
All right.
Students will use the writing concept. Right.
They're gonna complete a puzzle video and answer questions.
Use the writing process. Okay. Is that a specific thing? They know what the writing process is? Okay, cool.
Yeah, tomorrow morning.
Does it make a difference if it's students will understand or students will be able to? Are those both okay?
Yeah.
I'm okay with it.
Are they the same?
I wouldn't call them the same. They're definitely related.
But see, here's the thing, like,
Yeah.
but you can say.
But maybe-
How do you measure understanding?
Right. So how do you
do
know?
Like we say students are able to, and then use one of the, what is it, what's his name? Like a comma, create, or,
You mean,
yeah.
hierarchy?
Bloom's, that guy?
No,
Use DOK.
yeah, depth of knowledge from,
Depth of knowledge.
Yeah.
the level 1, 2, 3, and 4,
Yeah.
like. I can't think.
It is, I have the image. No.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so here's this. No, here's it.
And depending,
Okay. All right. So how do people feel about that? Does everybody feel like they could identify? And how many objectives is appropriate? Is it one? Is it
just one.
5? One objective?
Yeah,
I mean, I
Okay.
got one per subject.
One, yeah.
Printing.
Fine. And objective for the day.
Which reminds me to read all my teachers.
Uh-huh.
Just back today. Oh, wow.
Does anybody think we ought to have more than one? Anybody?
Well, in elementary, so she said like one per subject.
Oh, yeah, different subjects might. I teach history and English.
Hold
Is
on.
there like one for math, one for
So you
English?
want-
one for-
One per, like, per section, like, yeah. I have 5 sections, one per section.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. You wouldn't have the same one.
I teach blocks every day, so I end up having multiple attendants. I'm really like 2 lessons.
Okay. All right. So you might have
We're
a
gonna
couple
count
of
your days,
objectives.
2 days, right?
Okay. How many people are in a block schedule?
I have
Or
it
sometimes in a block?
Sometimes.
All right.
Well, none over here.
Just curious, huh?
This is
All right.
blocks versus the map.
So are we also talking about this, or are we just talking about?
All right. All right. Let's. I'm gonna put that.
Because it has to be some positive quality to it.
For my writing, for my writing process example, that can be a whole week.
All right. All right. Hold on.
Yeah, definitely, there could be a week long, and then there could be individual days.
A sub-objective. Is that?
Subject.
In terms of posting the objectives, what do we mean by that? Where do they need to be? What's going to be most important?
Physical.
That's a good point, because a lot of people post it on the board, but we have to somehow make it clear, because someone mentioned that they put it on the board, but no one.
That's passive, so you can't have that. In my view, the posting has to be some sort of action that the kids take, demonstrating that they have at least nominal custody of the objective at the beginning. Because if you don't have that, you got nothing.
Well, you know what's interesting, so they write each one every day and they're like, what are we gonna do?
Oh,
And I'm like,
Uh-huh.
that's not what we're gonna do.
That is what I applied to the board.
I know, I do.
Yeah, I found that I had to really condense my objectives, because if you write the entire objective for the lesson, they can't read it because it's too small. So I try to make it bigger and less words to get across my point, like dividing fractions. You should be able to divide simple fractions.
Okay, so you have to keep it short, right?
So yeah, I make them shorter and quick
Short,
Yeah, the kid,
guess if you're reading it.
the kid writes it down. We
All right,
know that.
hold-
Yeah, I just have it right there.
What are some alternatives to writing it on the board? What else do we have?
Make them.
I'm making it.
What I use in my class, I usually send the whole class an email at the beginning of class, and it has the instructions and.
So, and that's like the objective, website, email.
Especially Memorial.
How many of you keep a daily agenda on a website somewhere?
Okay, well, I keep moving. I keep moving, so it's not zero.
I keep several, depending on which class.
Yeah, I have to do it now. It's totally compulsive. I can't not do it. I have to write my objective somewhere. I mean, not my objective, but my agenda. So, can we post the objectives on the website if we keep an objective agenda? That would make sense, right?
If using Google Classroom.
I'll put that.
I do
But actually demonstrating your check.
Demonstrating?
Demonstrating my class.
I mean, what I do is I have Moodle like yours, mine's every day, because, so here's Moodle, and then I have my objectives in red, which is short, it's always a sentence, like she was saying. Then yak about what we're gonna do in the class, and maybe jump to Google Classroom or jump to this or that or whatever. We don't use computers every day, so that it doesn't work every day. But in terms of adminware, it looks marvelous when the principal's here. Because it's red. That's the whole. It's in a file.
How do you spell that?
Yeah, they need.
I have no idea.
Right mouse helps.
Just doesn't like it.
Right mouse doesn't give you anything?
No.
I'll try it, it's on There,
Thank you. All right.
right mouse doesn't.
Okay. So, all right. So we posted it somewhere, either in the room. So is it either in the room or on the web, or does it have to be both? Or what are we saying?
It could be either, but whichever
Do
one
we-
gets more traffic.
Right.
Like in my room, the kids, everybody would get exposed to it on the computer. Some students who might check it the night before, I don't know.
Maybe we just posted it in as many places as is appropriate.
Yeah.
So we want them to be aware of it, right? That's the key.
In the bathroom, and on the hall.
That's what my kids always are, so.
All right. So after we post the objective, what do we do with that? Do we take class time to talk about this? What are we gonna do?
Yeah,
Tell them,
because it's action research, no action, no research.
they like.
Okay. So what would we do? What are some things people do? You said copy
So my
to
student,
notebook.
yeah, my students come in and the Juno, they write it down on their Juno. One student reads it, and then I tell them like what they need to accomplish in order to meet the learning objectives.
Mm-hmm.
So like they have to get to a certain problem number, and then at the end I have a half sheet of paper where they actually talk about did they meet the objective, why not, and what they could do next time to meet it.
Well, that's the next category we've got to ask.
It's easier in the classroom, I do not, I need the half sheets, because I think collecting all these like pieces of paper that I don't wanna read, it becomes such like a mess.
Okay.
Well, yeah, but if you get credit for your master's program with this little brick of paper.
I mean, like literally, I'm supposed to do it, I read other people's lesson plans, I'm like, where's your, what's your exit slope gonna be? And I'm like, I don't even wanna read them.
Yeah, but
It's like the charter school model.
But you don't have to read them for them to have it. You have to have a thread of readers.
Or you can sort them, I do like right, wrong, I just look at the wrong ones.
They
do
read
it
it.
I understand why
So much more.
But I just feel like it's not good. It's so great when it's on the Google Classroom. Then I read them, and then it's easy and it's efficient and it's exciting.
Let's all just agree that hypothetically, sometimes we assign work and we don't grade it. Because it's good for students to go through the process. Hypothetically, we're not talking about any specific grade.
We're like the elite, we don't do it.
No, never do that. All right. All right, we need to be a little specific. Can we, what, so you mentioned demonstrating, like, that would be,
Like an exercise, turn, look at this, listen to it. this is what you go through.
okay, you're gonna learn how to do X kind of thing, yeah? What else would make sense in terms of this conversation? Do they need to interpret the objective in any way, or they're just rotely copying it?
Sometimes they, like.
Hold on, shh. Too much chatting.
I think for them to have ownership of that, they would have to like reword it so they can show that they understand.
Paraphrasing,
what the objective is
oh my God.
before they can attack it. Because
Maybe.
that, just you saying it in your words doesn't necessarily mean they get it. And then at the end, they don't know if they've met the objective because they never got it in the first place. So there's this whole thing of like, you tell them, you talk about it, they rephrase it in their own words, so they can demonstrate that they understand the objective, and then that takes time.
Or even like the 8th grade teacher, she has them circle words that they don't know and like
Yeah,
put synonyms, something like that.
You can spend the whole
Alright.
class period on
Really?
the objective.
Or sometimes, I think in my class, for example, they might not understand it at the beginning, but by the end, they should be able to understand it because they accomplished it.
Okay. How much class time do you think is this gonna take?
Depends which period you wanna talk about. I don't have enough class with.
I know, it's important stuff, that class time.
I would like, I'm worried.
I would give myself about 3 minutes. When they would normally be ready.
Limit to 5 minutes.
Yeah.
We definitely, we wanna,
Yes.
5 minutes is not a short amount of time.
No, it's not.
That's too
25 minutes a
much.
week.
Give me like 20 seconds.
I know, I'm like,
It was like 2 minutes.
2 minutes? Could we do it in 2 minutes? If you're copying stuff, I feel like that's gonna take more than 2 minutes.
I guess not.
If you're paraphrasing,
I'm not sure what they're copying.
I know.
Forcing them to read it by copying it. I have students copy things, they don't read what they copy. They don't think-
they don't read while they
think
copy.
there's
Yeah.
necessarily anything cognitively going
What
on.
would be an
because
alternative
they're
to copying? Give me an alternative.
Type it.
Paraphrasing it, they'd have to think about
Ooh, it's just-
But writing down their
it. Just
paraphrase,
writing it out.
writing down it as their paraphrasing of the objective.
Think, share, share.
Think, pair, share.
And then everyone else will get a chance to hear someone else's idea.
Share. Everybody knows what we're talking about with that, right?
I agree with that.
I'll go back.
Yeah.
I've just been taking charts.
Could do a quick write, right? I'm gonna put that in
Also,
here.
I do a read, write, talk, where they read something and then they write what they thought about it and then they talk about it.
There's like a
They
big
actually,
thing
like-
pair share.
Yeah.
That's on paper.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so they just take out the pair part. They
Or
read
like-
it,
oh, yeah.
they
Mhm.
write it first, what they thought about it.
Yeah.
Or what they understood from that, and then they talk about it, and then after that, they get a chance to add on to what they wrote.
I think that you should have maybe a check for understanding. And I like the idea of giving kids like an empowering way to say like, at the end of class, I'm going to do this. And so you just check for understanding. Susie, what are you gonna do?
I think the class is really good.
Bobby, what are you gonna do? In class, so maybe a point where you check for understanding.
Mm-hmm.
It is a complete.
Teacher, check for understanding.
Yeah, that also takes time. Sounds like a good thing, but, do you think one of these ways is better than the others, or should we let people decide on their own and have sort of a free for all, or do we need to standardize?
Nah, you don't want to stand it.
Maybe you can have groups.
It could be a variable.
Ooh, that's true.
I mean, in my case, whatever objectives of the day are, they have to email me what they're going to do today. So they already.
So they have to, they have to electronically submit their objective based on what you've told them?
Yeah, so what did we do last time? That will bring back to mind what did we do the last time we met, and then they have to write down what they're doing today, and explain to them that this is going to bring you up to speed on what the heck is going on.
A good question. I hope it's a good question, but the question is, should we have people do specific things, like groups of people do this, groups of people do this, groups of people do this, to see if our data is different? Like Crystal
Right.
volunteered to do nothing, but basically just put the objective on board. I mean, it would be interesting to know that.
There has to be a
I already
bold
was doing it, so now I have to go the opposite way.
Yeah.
Well, so that's another question. Are we gonna have a control condition? Right? Are we gonna do,
I teach high school, I'll be happy to do it.
So-
Early elementary, upper elementary.
so there's a couple of different ways you could do controls, right? You could do a control by time. You could have a week of objectives and a week of no objectives and see if they think different across those 2 weeks. You could have one period gets objectives and one period does not get objectives for a couple of weeks.
That's fine if you're on the same board.
Yeah, but you have to remember to erase it, but then you have to rewrite it.
Cover it up with chart
No,
paper.
Right.
erase it at the
No.
end.
We have to
Does it
rotate the
last
schedule.
third year control?
Yeah.
And my schedule rotates, so I'd be like, wait, which class am I on right now?
Maybe the sixth period, in your control group that you erase for.
It's drama.
Yeah, but
They
I
don't
rotate
read
the
the
order.
board, like.
I don't see
My
my
sixth period is second on Tuesdays.
That's
All right.
Fourth and the fifth.
That would confuse me so much.
It's really, I love it. But yeah, we definitely, yeah, we don't have the same kids at the end of the day every day, but we'll take off. Building classes that are.
For those people who do it already, would it be problematic to not do it for a week?
I'm good with that, I can do it, I can handle it.
What?
Yeah, I think so.
I need to tell your principal and see.
But you
Tell
don't-
her it's for your mouth.
The principal would wanna know the results, right? If they're making you do this, they would wanna know.
Yeah.
I'm researching why you're having me do this.
That's
That's
gonna
gonna
go
go
off
real well.
You gotta start out and get off.
I'd say it.
No, I'm absolutely, seriously though, I'm absolutely telling my administration, that I'm right. The master's class, the whole class is doing this, blah, 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 just let them know. Because I don't do this as much as a lot of people probably.
And we're gonna let the parents know too, so you might as well tell the administration, because they'll probably get some calls. Yeah,
Where does it say that?
because we're gonna get permission. We're gonna get informed consent.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Is it wise to do it with the same class, but for a period of time with, and for another period of time without? Or do we use two classes?
So yeah, so that's the question. Those are the
Because
two possibilities.
the classes might have been divided by very bright and a little bit not so bright.
All right,
But then
all right.
you're not
Well,
comparing the same content if you do the same class.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm asking.
So the first question is, do you have 2 periods of the same content? Right? How many, and I asked that last week, and I think a lot of people did, but not everybody.
Right.
Um,
I had 2 periods of the same content. One has real low, like, English learning.
that's what Spotty is saying. It's like, even though they're the same content, they're not the same.
So do you see other trends from?
One group is very quiet, very focused.
All
the other
day?
group
How
is like
many?
all over the place.
But, right. So then there's no control at that point.
Unless I teach certain subjects.
All right. So what do people think about the week on and week off idea? Is that doable by everybody?
Sure. It's the right scope for what we're.
So that's sort of a fair comparison, because although it'll be different, the classes that normally have it and are taking it away versus the classes that normally don't and are getting a new thing, but that'll be an interesting thing. All right, so I think I'm gonna scratch this one out and
Straight.
strike. I like strike through. That's my new favorite
So
thing.
question, whenever you do the 1 week with, and the 1 week without, are you still going to have the exit ticket? You ask them what will we do?
That's an interesting question. All
What was
right.
our objective?
Yeah, we never actually did the.
Based on that.
What are we gonna do an exit ticket? What do y'all think?
We need something like that.
If you have to find students, it's real easy to just.
Yeah, you could ask, what was the lesson about?
You
All
need
right.
some, you need something.
What did you learn about
Well,
that?
Google
You should be able to-
Docs, yeah,
Let's get specific about this. How do people do exit tickets? What's the logistics of it?
I use the polling thing on Google Docs and I just post a question.
Like a form?
Yeah.
They're responding to a form and
Yeah, it's
about,
quick and easy.
and is it like a quiz question or is it, did you meet the
It could be
objective?
different things, so it's whatever you want, like, so sometimes I'll ask them a quick multiple choice question,
Mhm.
and that way you can quickly look at the result and Google from the result, and then other days I might ask a short answer and see what they say.
Mhm.
But the nice thing is all the data is in one place.
Exactly.
Super easy to use.
But that's it.
What was the other one besides short, like multiple choice?
Short answer, multiple choice. They do longer, paragraph answers.
What are some other ways people have done it?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Look right.
I actually get like sticky notes and I have them stick it like on the way out. Like
Yeah.
I'll stick it on the window.
I have it out, and then I
read
board
them and I toss out all the good ones and I keep the wrong answers and then talk about them. But I don't have time to do it every day, but that's a fast way for me.
Okay, all right. Sticky notes. And you give them a question, you post the question, or you just tell them what the prompt is that they have to respond to, is that, okay?
I think that's on the format, I don't know if that's
Cool. Anybody think we should not do an exit?
It just takes a lot of time. Like if we're gonna, like, I know my house is gonna take me forever to talk about the objective and having to do the execution, that takes more time.
We can force ourselves to 2 minutes.
Is 2 weeks gonna be too long for this? Are we gonna be okay? I don't wanna get anybody in trouble. All right,
It's just 1 week.
We'll direct all complaints.
Which 2 weeks?
that's right, 1 week will be without, so you want to
He's
do
got
it.
tenure, so he's good.
Although Jason was asking if we're gonna do an exit ticket on the days when there's no objectives.
I think that's more interesting to see what they think.
Is it the objectives or is it the exit ticket that's making a difference?
Which means you gotta do the
Which
exit
means we
ticket
gotta
every
keep
day.
the exit ticket, no matter.
Yeah, you kinda have to.
Hmm.
Yeah, cause how
How
are
we
we
gonna
measuring
take
it?
Measurable.
What's the measure?
Well, a million ways to measure, it, like he said.
Well, we've got to get to that thing.
Easy way to measure it.
Hmm.
Easy.
But I mean, it's not just a measuring. I mean, it's a thing students are doing which can change their learning, and they start if they know that there's going to be an exit ticket, they can expect it. That may change their behavior in class because they know that they're going to need to respond to something. So it's a pedagogical thing as well as an assessment.
That's true.
But that's if we tell them that they're gonna have an exit, or we put it somewhere, right?
Say that again.
Actually, that's better.
That's if we're telling them that there's gonna be an exit ticket,
You're right, that's way better.
or writing it on the agenda or something, that they know it's coming.
Right. Yeah. So I think if we're doing it, we should let them know it's coming.
Actually, what he said is really good.
What's that?
Instead of like doing a full class exit ticket, just random interviews at the end of class. Take them outside.
You can use class.
All right. That is hard and complicated and
Too much time.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, but it's a lot better data.
How do you pick random students on the
Use
fly?
popsicle. Use popsicle sticks, whatever.
Right? And if they have to go to grab a snack
got
before the
them
next
popsicle
period or
stick.
something,
That's life in the fast lane of theater.
could be done. Not saying it's not possible.
But I think in terms of a metric, it's the cleanest. It's more work and it gives you impression. But it handles the problem of the exit ticket.
What's the problem with the exit ticket?
Because the exit ticket might be what's changing things rather than the business of the,
Is that a terrible thing?
well, no, but then you're not measuring what you think you're measuring. So actually, yeah, this is terrible in that sense.
Okay.
Well, my students copy a lot. What did you write?
Ah.
I'm not sure how to avoid that.
Or even it gets at the end of the day somehow.
Mhm.
I mean, that's logistically, it's a mess, I know.
2,000 students trying to find
Well, you go on facial features, heights.
2,000 students that look very similar to each other.
Okay, you should go.
Mm.
have a computer set up with a form, go over there, fill out the quick form, so you actually have some data you can plot.
If they do a Google form, they can't really see each other unless they're.
Well, I just
Really
one
being
by one,
obvious.
take a little sample size, you're saying 5 kids, go over there, fill out the form, next. So you have an average sample. of your class.
Okay.
Doesn't take a lot of your time, just pick a kid, go.
Okay.
It's good for someone
So-
who don't have a computer set up or computers for every kid, we can at least have, I can have one.
And,
instead of
select.
That's actually works well, because it's not an exit interview, you give them a device and just stand there while he or she does his thing.
So we're going
I
with
don't
random.
I don't know.
One thing is you don't get very dense data.
Is-
You know, you get one sample point per day and if it's random.
Oh, no, you
It takes
just
a lot of
pick
samples.
5
We
kids.
may need to vote on this one to see what people like best. But I'm not sure I want to do that just yet. Now one of the ideas is that we could do slightly different things in different classrooms. One of the variations was where people are posting the objectives. Another variation might be how many objectives for that day, and then what people do with the objectives, whether it's copying or think, pair, sharing or a demonstration. That might also be a form of variation. Yeah, it's complicated, huh?
It could be a variation of just like posting it and then actually taking time to state it and talk about it. That would make it
All right. We may not want that many. That might be too many things to vary. It's sounding very complicated because we're only going to get probably 17, 15 sets of data on this. So it's not a huge amount. Cool. All right. Well, in terms of data collection, so we've already talked about the exit ticket idea. What else can we measure? Classwork, so whatever. All right. Cool. What are some of the things we would like to see? What do we hypothesize will be good about having the objectives there? So grades will get better. So that might be the classwork. We'd be able to see that in the classwork, or overall grades class. Okay, so students will know what they're learning. How would we observe that? How would we know that's happening?
Application.
What were you saying? Application? What do you
I
mean?
mean, if the objective is how to resize an image, they'll have to submit a large image that I gave to them in a smaller size. That's putting it simply. So
That's
whatever
the
stated
classwork they were
objective
doing that day, right? That's their assignment.
Yeah.
Proves their knowledge.
Mhm.
Yeah, like whatever the classwork was.
Okay.
Whatever the desired output is.
Would you expect to see any changes in student behavior?
Very possibly,
Yeah.
because of the difference in the undergraduate and undergraduate. In other words, they have some investment in the process. That's mostly a wild hope. But if the kid knows.
Well, let's say
why
we
here,
could be wild hoping about this. What would happen if that happened? If
If they
students
have
were
a
more
reason-
invested?
If they have a reason for being there, that they're more invested than if they don't know why they're there, except that they told them they have.
Okay, so therefore what? What would we see?
We will
How would
see
that
a
look
dif-
different?
We will see a difference
Yeah, more.
Actively
between
engaged.
stating the objective and the alternative we provide.
Wait,
Instead of saying sixth
I
grade,
heard more focused over here, so I'm not sure that captures what you're saying, Fadi.
teachers do that, because it makes everybody in the class anxious if we don't get through.
Huh, interesting.
He's an 11th grader, actually.
Interesting. So there might be both positive and negative behavior. So if they're anxious, what would be the behavior? Well, how would we see that if they're anxious? What would we look for?
Telling each other to
Drawing
tell each other to
attention.
shut up so that we can get through what we're supposed to get through today, that sort of thing. Being trying to cut things, shut things down to make sure you get through what we're supposed to do.
Yeah, like some,
That's that sounds like focus.
some
Oh,
of
right.
it-
But in a, I don't care if we're not learning it, we're gonna move ahead, in a sort of way.
Mm-hmm. I'm not sure that's helpful. Seems like I'm saying the same thing. What were you saying before I cut you off?
I was saying that they, like for me, if they didn't meet the objective, they won't want to fill out the exit slip because they know that they're gonna start going out in a minute. So sometimes they'll scribble over it or something.
Okay, so tell us about that exit step because that's a little different.
It's just, I think it's more of a reflection, I guess. It asks did they meet the objective? There's criteria, and then did they meet the objective? So they circled I met it or not met it, and then like why they didn't. They answer why they didn't, and then they make a goal for the next time. But if they ask, because I'll tell them you need to get this problem done. If they don't do that, then they know they didn't meet it, and then sometimes they act like they don't care, and they're like, I don't care, I didn't do it, and then they just don't want to do it.
All right, so that's two different ways of doing an exit ticket. And is there a question as well, or is it just the reflection when you do it typically?
So it asks the question, did they meet the objective? So like that's like a yes or no.
Uh-huh.
Why they didn't, or
Okay.
why they didn't, and then they make a goal for the next day.
But before that, you give them a task to do that demonstrates technique, and so they can tell whether or not they.
So
did it.
based on the objective, I tell them in order to meet the objective, you need to complete this
There's
problem.
something they have to do, and
Yeah.
then based on that, they answer.
So they're gonna say, no, I didn't meet it if they didn't finish
But
that.
I do like a rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 5, how successfully you problem why.
That's the advantage of being American.
Yeah.
That's the
I guess, yeah, and it's interesting, like, really, like it was the same subject, not the same objective, but it's interesting watching from, in the same unit, watching from week 1 to week 2, how much they had rated themselves differently. Always when I got a lot of 2s and 3s, and last week I got 4s and 5s. I'm really successful.
That's got a lot of it too. Because times 16, that's a,
And it was really easy, like I did it on Google. I have computers only once a week, but I did it on Google Forms and it was just super easy.
we could aggregate Google Forms into Brian Politic or something like that.
And I feel like you can still do it even when you're not having a computer though. You can still do it on paper easily. It's not like something complicated.
Paper is pretty flexible.
But I,
Good that way.
yeah,
Okay, we haven't decided everything, and I think that's fine. We've sort of fleshed out the ideas quite a bit, and we don't have a full thing, but I think we're ready to start looking at the literature. All right, so what we're gonna do, I wanna take a few minutes to just in class, do some searching and see if we can, I'm hoping that everybody can find a paper to read this week and report back about next week so that we have an instant lit review. Wouldn't that be good? It's always better to have an instant lit review rather than having to do the whole thing ourselves. But before I do this, let's talk a little bit about searching for literature. In this website here, you'll find a number of pages, including one about finding literature. And I added a little bit to this today. The real key to finding literature, everything is digital now, and so it's all based on keywords, right? Now, we got to figure out what the right keywords are. There's a lot of jargon in the literature, and so we're gonna have to figure out what is the jargon that gets used. And if you don't know anything, that's hard to do, right? Once you've figured out what the jargon is, like if you find a good paper, then you can use that to find other papers because you figure out what jargon they're using, and so that gets a lot easier. But finding that first thing to figure out, okay, what's the thing? The key, of course, is to figure out what actually are we studying, right? Posting, writing objectives on the board, that's sort of what we're going to do, but is that what we're studying? What's the key to what we're trying to figure out here? What does posting the objectives on the board give the students or do for the students?
Focus and retention.
Right?
The effect on the student.
You just see it effective.
Yeah, buying or empowerment.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of effectiveness of state.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So somehow something about the students would know what the purpose of the lesson is. There'll be sort of foreshadowing, maybe, something like that. So something like that is the literature. So posting objectives is probably not going to find a whole lot. Let's find out, right? Let's start. Where are we going to go to first?
Crystal found something. I Googled it
You
before we
already
started
did it.
having this
Excellent.
And the first article that is, it says, stop writing the objectives on the board. First one I yeah.
All right. So, but first of all, where do we go to search? We talked a little bit about this before, right?
Yes.
Scholar.google.com is a nice place to start. You can also go to the OVIAT, like you learned. You guys did this last semester, the OVIAT and all the journals, and the ERIC.
We didn't know about it, but you told us last week.
All right.
Got knowledge.
We'll take a little bit about that too, but let's start with Google Scholar, right? And so Crystal, what keywords did you use here?
I searched the effective posting objectives in
Does it matter if you use things like the and in and
I
that?
don't think it really matters.
Probably not too much.
That's why I didn't use it.
Might make a slight difference. How the use of explicit learning objectives.
Ooh, explicit.
That looks pretty on task there.
Posting and communicating daily learning objectives.
And that's not even that old. That's 2007. That's not so bad.
I got one to that.
So there's this one. Are we going to be able to get this article?
It's PE.
Or did people find the same thing? It's torrents.
I can't tell it.
All right. Well, that's not entirely true. Notice it says ResearchGate PDF here. That's a good possibility that there's a PDF out there somewhere that we can get that's not behind a paywall. Also, it says there are 12 versions of this paper somewhere. I can click on this 12 versions and see like 7 of them are PDFs. So that looks good. Lots of people have pirated this paper already. That's great. Let's go to the University of North Carolina, Wilmington. That's my guess. Is that what that is? There it is. Harry Torrance from UK.
Oh, the Torrance research. Okay, it could be worse.
All right. Now, is this exactly what we're talking about? So how are we going to find out? Yeah. So we've got the title. It's not entirely sure. The use of explicit learning objectives, assessment criteria, and feedback. So that's pretty complicated. Cool. But they have this nice thing called the abstract here. What's an abstract?
Oh, it's your friend. The abstract is your friend.
Yeah, it's supposed to be a summary. There's a specific way you write an abstract where you give the sort of the question of what you're trying to do, say a little bit about why it's important, and then the final answer. Right. You don't describe too much of the methods usually in there, but all right.
Yeah, so the guy reading it knows what he's going to get.
So you include the conclusion.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
We found 25%
Your
improvement
results.
in the IPA.
I know, my, our blow.
Yeah, the paper reports. You have-
Clarity of assessment procedures, processes, and criteria has.
I missed the last paragraph.
Wow, that's quite a sentence here.
Well, it is academic.
This paper reports that clarity in assessment procedures, processes, and criteria has underpinned the widespread use of coaching, practice, and provision of formative feedback to boost achievement, but that such transparency encourages instrumentalism.
I'm opposed to instrumentalists.
Wow, that's
I'm a free.
what? All right,
Concrete.
which are the words we need to circle in this? What? What do we? All right.
Not that this is a bad thing, but yeah, it's dead.
Yeah. Leave it to the Brits. So
Oh, yeah, Crystal's, the Crystal thing is overturning it.
Yeah.
She's
all right. So,
sharing forbidden.
but first of all, just to understand this, what do you think that this last part here, such transparency encourages instrumentalism? That's kind of their conclusion, right? What does that mean?
Well, you'd have to look it up.
That you're forcing people to become robots to copy things.
Well, what do we mean by instrumentalism? That's not a term we use a lot. What do you take that to mean?
Oh, yeah, the instrument becomes the objective.
Yeah. It's like teaching the
I
test
like that. Give me
instead of
something
teaching
here.
the content on the test.
Yeah, we're not
Okay.
teaching the student, we're
So-
teaching the book.
So the
Not even that, you're teaching.
if we're being instrumental, that means
They know how to do an exit ticket, but they don't know.
I mean that's probably really good for Ryan's class. No, I'm just kidding.
It's the same one, we've already got it.
So instrumentalism, what's the definition of that?
Yeah, I already get that
No, I got that one.
I didn't know we were doing dates.
It's a modern school of thought. We can
Yeah,
do that.
there's
Oh, John Dewey.
Like, no.
Oh,
John Dewey and Karl Popper. Holy smokes.
no, not
Man, we're back
them.
to the source here.
Yeah, we're going back to the early stuff.
But it's a standard term, so that's sort of useful.
It was on air.
That's not what I was thinking it was, but okay. Yeah. All right. All those crazy
These
people.
guys are in domain for what we're looking at, so it's not like it came from like rocket science.
All right. Can we? So what is instrumentalism a good thing or a bad thing? Yeah.
I don't know if bad, just with a negative connotation.
That's a lot of big words. Epistemology, and some other stuff. Yeah, I don't know how deep we want to get into this, but I mean, I sort of think of that as instrumentalism, as though we're focusing on the thing that we're doing and not the learning that we're supposed to be in. That it becomes really about achieving that goal, and we miss some of the big picture ideas. Does that sound about right?
Yeah,
it sounds exactly
people
like
are trying to teach how to do the SBAC or the gas or whatever.
Right.
That sounds
You got the information on it, just how to actually take the
Part of
test.
school,
Like,
you can
Oh,
tell.
right.
who cares if you know how to take a test? It's the information that's what matters.
So that's an interesting idea, though, and something that hadn't come up in our discussion. Are we going to make our students be more instrumentalist? Are we going to make our students focus on that objective as opposed to the big picture? By doing this, is that going to be one of the impacts of
Yes, we are, but it matters that the objective supports the big picture.
Yeah, but
Think
my,
it right.
my thing with this,
Yeah, I think we're taking
so
the,
we want them to
the start of the dream about taking
come
a
to
lot
the
of learning
objective
out
on
of
their own.
that, and making them more like industrial robots.
all right?
I feel like that's like, I feel like
Yeah,
the system
absolutely.
in terms of.
Because you're.
All right, so I'm gonna make a claim that this paper is close enough to be relevant to our study,
True.
right? And so that means somebody could claim this one, and I'm sure there's some better ones. Cool.
Yeah,
So let's take about, I want to say about 15 more minutes for people who, maybe 10 minutes is all we need, hopefully. and people can find some literature. Now, where are we going to post our literature? We have a, no, we're not going to post it in Quick Rate. We have a literature page
Oh, wait, a
here.
forum. Well, no,
We could, what if we create a subpage of this one
Okay.
for each of our things, and we'll just put a subpage thing on here. What do? We do insert. You guys know about this subpage listing on Google. I like doing this. Articles on
Yeah, that's true.
posting objectives. You should have access. If you don't, let me know and I'll give you access. Okay.
Yes.
I know, right?
All right. So what we're gonna do then is you're gonna go to this page, which is underneath this CRPS 16.
Oh my, Amy already stole it.
All right. So when you found a good paper, all we need to do at this point is create a new page and put some keywords of the paper description, or maybe should we put authors' names? Yeah, let's put authors in years. That'll be easier to think. So for that one, we would create a subpage, which was Torrance 2007, and then we'd set that up as a subpage here, and we say make sure you do this part. So you say put the page under a literature review.
Yep.
And say create, and then go ahead and put a link to the document in there.
Yeah, you got it.
We have access to that.
You should have access to edit this site.
Yep.
So I'm just gonna put a link there like that. Okay, so there's my example. I've created one example here. Oh, and there's other examples already. So let's shorten those titles to just be the author's name and year, author's last names, authors. Just do the first one, et al.
Sorry, Bob.
There we
I
go.
can't count to two.
I like that edit out.
Yeah, mine's the first one.
Et al is your friend.
Mine's the first one. I'll post another.
I'm just gonna find an article that starts with the letter A, so I get to be first.
All right. And so if you found a good one, go ahead and stake it
So you want their names to be the.
Okay, wait, so really.
to be the title of the page. Edit your page title.
I put the first two.
So you go in and edit and fix it. All right, good.
Yeah. I use the first one.
I'll take the
So-
words one of the ones. Oh.
Okay, you're a taker. All right.
We got takers, you get.
All right. So let's take a few minutes, find something that you like, and if you find more than one, let other people know, and then they can use it.
I'm not able to edit that page.
It's
Oh yeah, who needs access to the site?
You're signed in? At the bottom?
You click sign in at the very bottom. Does that help?
second thing down. Remember the color.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, your education link is
Yeah,
broken.
we found it.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Same exact time.
Which one?
I don't.
Oh man, where'd it go?
Yeah, it
Oh,
was-
red one.
Oh, we got education.
I know. I found it.
Yeah, it is.
Whatever, I'll find a better one.
Anybody not able to get access? All right. Well, let me know if you do.
Who was a subject librarian for this in our university? That's good.
I'm gonna go pro.
Just do your last name?
All about search, man.
coworker small like cookies and I wanted 2 boxes if you have.
I think I only have one here.
Okay.
I did. Thank you.
All right, I'll check this into
I see someone because he saw me and we were laughing.
Oh, yeah, yeah, thank you for the. I laughed really hard.
Let me see.
You can get another box?
For a coworker.
Of course I have $5.
Some more Girl Scout cookies. You got any Thin Mints?
I'm the.
A coworker
She
requested.
got the last one. Sorry.
What's the funniest thing, I was thinking recycling the other day, and at the recycling store, they were selling Girl Scout cookies, like, at the rate of cash.
Oh yeah, perfect. You could have cash or
Or cookies,
Thin
yeah, that
Mints.
was the option, you can pay your money or you can buy cookies.
Nice.
So should we paste the link to what we found under the one that was there, under torrents?
No. You're making your own page, right? You look at all these pages. Ooh, Shabel. Oh, she's good. Who's reading Shabel? Nice. Interesting. Is that 2 people claiming the same paper? Do we need to have a battle?
Oh, yeah, I know.
We found it at the same time.
Oh dear. Oh dear.
Well, who posted it first? It's got a time
She did it.
She posted it before you. I even uploaded the PDF.
Wait,
to that
now-
page.
If you find a good paper, what can you do?
There's a couple of things you can do if you find a good paper.
Who cites it?
We can look at who cites it. Where do you find who cites a paper?
In Google, down on the bottom.
Not on the bottom, but
Okay, side.
cited by, right there?
That's what I'm
Oh,
saying.
that you mean on the bottom of that? Okay, gotcha. So you can look at the cited by for that one and see if somebody else has cited it more recently, get a more recent paper. Or you can look in those references section on the paper itself and see if there's a really good paper there. So those are 2 ways. If you find one paper, you can build out from that paper and find a whole bunch more, right? So Torrance has gotten cited 224 times. That's pretty good. That's better than any of my papers.
Look,
I'm not jealous.
and his is, that's on one of those artificial citation generator kind of things.
You never know.
It's harder than it looks. Yeah, I found that too.
Mhm.
I think this would be easy.
What can you do if you get a lot of papers that are on the wrong subject?
You could do
Yeah, exactly, the title.
Yeah, you know how to like exclude keywords from?
Nice.
Yeah. So if you've got like a bunch of medical stuff, you put a minus medical, right, in your search, and it gets rid of everything with the word medical in it. Well, that didn't work, but if you have other search terms that you're using, go back. So like there, and you put a minus medical here, then I eliminate every search that has medical in it.
Okay. But you can reference the book too, right?
Yes, books are good. Book chapters are good. So if you're interested, this is the Oviat Library website. And if you want to search for things through Oviat, you go to databases. This one right here, and then you want to find. You can look. I just look up for education here, and we get.
Still blocked.
So it's under literature.
So this is
Or right here.
Ed Research Complete or ERIC are basically the same thing, I think.
Cool. Where is literature? What's the level of that? 216 posting picture.
That's funny.
So what are we going to do with these papers?
I don't know.
Read them in, turn them into lit review on Moodle.
Yeah, we're going to read them. You don't need to do anything on the lit review on Moodle. We're going to do them here on this website. Put your summary right there, and I'll give you a grade for it. Exactly. All right. If you go to ERIC, the searching page looks like this. You could say things like, wait, what were some other keywords that we found in some of the papers instead of posting objectives? It's
Those are objectives, learning objectives.
Yeah.
learning objectives in the classroom.
Setting objectives.
Look at that. That's one of the search things. All right. So Eric finds 172 things on it.
What did you
I put learning objectives in the classroom.
Posting, I just need to have a goal in there.
Yeah.
So
I have an article and the title is Shared Learning Targets. And it's the same stuff that we're doing.
shared learning targets.
Shared learning targets.
Okay, that's good. We should put some of that in the. Okay.
I just changed it to alpha.
Mark Bell is already editing this page. Is that true?
Oops. Oh, God, see, it's not true.
I'm gonna break your lock if you
Nah,
don't finish soon.
I'll bug out, man. I'm got it. Okay. So,
Okay.
so when you get to the Oviat library,
You go. Well, it used to be a lot easier. You go to the databases page.
There's a link on the left-hand browser bar. You gotta figure out or library.
No, you're not quite there yet.
there.
Ooh, he's
Oh, you were trying to go off Milo? Yeah, that's going to be broken. That's not easy. Try Google and Google your library. Let's see. So. What was the thing instead of objectives? It was
Setting objectives.
shared learning
Target.
targets. Okay.
Did anyone take? Oh.
Great time.
You don't share learning targets, right? Learning targets with communication.
So Fadi, you're going to change the name of your page
You know, I
here.
had to find it, I can copy the name.
You're not gonna do all that anymore?
So,
Or you're doing something else?
and Samantha, you're going to put a year on yours, right?
What is it under Amy?
Is this Samantha or Sam? Hear people calling you Sam sometimes.
People usually call me Sam.
Okay, whatever you
Usually
like.
just when I'm in trouble with my mom and Samantha. When I'm trying to perform work.
I found something that's
And then what? Use author's last name, comma, year it was published.
That, I don't know.
That's kind of
I never
flushed
know
out.
where it is.
Is that interesting to you?
It's not good.
It is, it's a chemistry.
Where was it?
I think it's very much along the same
Oh,
lines.
here,
It's just very
okay.
objective.
Some databases. Probably over this.
Okay.
So there's several things here, right?
I would say I'm.
20 years ago.
That's what it was, it was library.
Oh.
Here we just doing it.
But also.
She got rid of my.
Different animal, man.
No, I
Well,
really-
and everything now.
So does he have to reach
You're
out?
Yeah,
Yeah.
everybody that's saying no. This is the
So
time.
there's
Oh.
one to the-
I think hopefully the last year.
We did.
Actually, I was in the education.
But I also downloaded.
But, I don't know,
Way too much.
I'm very happy with it.
Yes. Alright, so articles from
Meryl.
CSUN's database are only available to read from people who go through CSUN's database.
Yeah, well, that's cool.
Okay.
We're
So we get out the year, so we can take it to CSUN.
we're in that favorite category.
Marzano is a big name too.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Oh, I had to read
That
I had
is.
to read that book.
Nice, fine.
You gonna put a link on
I
there?
have
Yeah.
that. It's in my class.
Oh, here, fine, here we go.
I already have one.
Okay, I did a save.
Whoever
I'm
did
gonna go
that.
back to the edit, but,
There it is.
yeah,
Cool.
and yeah, I'll make it better.
Nice, nice.
Well, I mean,
Cool.
I looked at
So,
the reference like this, you know, at some point it
I'm getting
says.
the take it to.
so let's take a 5-minute break when you're done with this.
Some people already did. Yeah.
I got my own unique.
Oh, I'm like, where are you?
Um, while we're finishing up this, we read the chapter on brains and kids learning with a lot of the stuff at infants learning. If you're interested in this, I'll pass around this book. It's a fabulous book. A lot of Alison Gopnik's work is what's in that chapter, and this is written in a really it's a good read, and especially for people who have young kids. It's very fun to check out what they're up to.
Do we get to?
No, I think it's a little off topic for most of what we're doing, but if that's something you're interested in.
Yeah. But you know the secret, one of the secrets to a class like this?
Uh-huh.
Every time somebody mentions a book, LAPL.org.
Did you already reserve that one? 'Cause I think I mentioned it last week or the week before. Yeah.
But I got like the Piaget one and the daily ones.
Yeah.
I read the, who's the guy who did the parallelogram though?
Wertheimer.
Yeah, I read that one,
The whole thing?
pretty much. Yeah,
Wow.
every chapter in the end of that Einstein.
Yeah, that's like half the book is like that last chapter, right?
Yeah, so I get that. I mean, there's chunks in the middle of
Why is
it.
there a weird break in that now?
Now, Piaget, I'm not claiming that all those, but again, you hold the book in your hand, or even the fish's fish book, you just kind of scope it. You
That's
just sort of,
interesting.
You know,
I wonder what's going on there.
oh,
I don't
No,
know, I
and
think
the
they did some.
body I put.
Page listing.
would you put that straight in there or something? Straight, yeah, straight in there. Yeah, I
So you
figured.
could
That way some guy.
Or you could put you could put text
Okay.
and the top.
And what's this one?
Yeah. You can try, right?
That's because it's a lot bigger.
Oh, so you just created another subpage listing and used that title. Okay, we don't need that one. I'm just gonna delete that one.
So you don't lose it. Oh.
So so yeah, this button up here, that create a page button, and then make sure it's a subpage of the literature review.
So as long as I put your it does take some pages on me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
That just is
Hang on.
after.
What you wanna do is find a review or something.
Oh, did somebody else get that one already? Which one is it? What was it?
That's good.
Read.
It's just, you know,
Does seem to be there. Is that the same one? Yeah, someone got it.
Ooh, oh, that's a good one.
Sorry.
Read this.
What was your search term on? Whose is this?
Learning objective matters.
Whose is this?
Who's looking at read?
Crystal.
Oh, great, the one that's gonna, I wonder what her search term was, that looks pretty good.
Well, how do you, what do
Middle
you?
school journal, oh, man. Oh, she owned this one. Well, that
Cool.
Crystal's hard to do.
So let's see, what do we have, what information do we have here? Do we have anything about referencing? Alright,
That article just looks, yeah.
cool.
Ooh, I got assessment for learning.
Oh, we were supposed to talk about Zotero too. We'll do that next week. Yeah, it apparently had stored the old one. I was like, I don't think that's up right now. Yeah. See if it's installed on here or not. I don't think it is. Oh, so we can install it. It's only on. It works on Firefox, or you can get a standalone version. I don't know why they like Firefox so much, but I like Firefox. I didn't complain. But I just. Okay.
Yeah. Although there is an app for Chrome called Zotero Connector.
Yeah.
So
you have to download the Zotero program, and then you have to.
In Chrome,
Yes.
using this extra app.
Exactly.
So you don't ever have to open the program yourself. Just use it.
Yeah. Exactly. So I'll demonstrate Zotero, and you can decide if you want to install it or not. Okay. How old? Nice. Yeah. No, definitely do that. Sometimes the old ones are good, and then you can see if other papers are citing it. Because kids haven't changed that much. Objectives are still objectives. What kids all? I mean, it's not like virtual reality or something. That stuff you really need to get the new ones. Okay. Oh, so like how to create a good objective. Oh, interesting. All right. Cool. Nice. Cool. All right. So I want to demonstrate how to do this this thing with Zotero. Zotero is one of my favorite tools for keeping track of citations, and Zotero has this bias for Firefox, which is okay because Firefox is free, available on any operating system that you have. So that's okay. If you go to the Zotero website, it's zotero.org. You can also get it in the App Store on Firefox if you go into the App Store, or you can just do this Download Now button right here. And you can see there's two options. So if you don't want to use Firefox, you really like Chrome or Safari, you can do this Zotero for Mac program right there. Or if you have Windows, there's a Zotero for Windows. You can download it. I'm going to do the Zotero for Firefox, so I'm just going to click Download here. Allow, and it's going to install an add-on. Uh-oh. No, it's not. It is not compatible. Does that mean I have a really old Firefox or a really new Firefox?
Yes.
It's 24.
You have a really old Firefox.
Oh, so I need to update my Firefox first?
Yeah. The looks of how your Firefox looks, it's really old.
All right.
Works for my Firefox.
Do you know what version it is? Update.
It's installed on this computer.
It's already installed on that computer? Is that one of ours? Yeah.
Is that how it's supposed to look?
No.
No? Do I need to download?
That's not what you're saying, yes. Did I get it right, or did he get it right? Yes.
Yeah, it's not compatible with that version of mine.
Huh. All right. Well, I'm going to download Zotero for the Mac then.
Is there a way to check see the latest?
I don't know.
Would it work on
I wasn't
phone?
able to make it update.
Would it work on my phone?
I tried updating stuff on this Mac here, just asking for that.
Yeah, it wants a password, right?
Because my Chrome, I think, is like weird.
All right.
I can't get it updated.
It's not as much fun when it's not in the browser, though.
Should I try it with my phone?
So then look at
So now I'm on the add-ins manager and see if it has any.
auto export.
Can't seem to install Zotero.
Google Scholar citation for Zotero.
Yeah, but you need to have Zotero first before that'll work. See, all these are utilities to help Zotero.
What about available add-ons?
Oh, here we go. Little Zot file. All right, let's do this next week. I'll figure it out. That's what I was going to do before. I should have just stuck with that. All right, so we'll figure it out next week. But Zotero is a fun tool. Basically, what it does is it puts a little, you know how you have these little icons in your browser bar? It puts a little Z icon every time you're on a page that has an article. And you click on it, and it puts it in a database and records all the information about it. And then you can export it in any format you want with your whole list of things. And you can have a shared database so that we can share all these. So we'll figure that out next week and how we can have a nice shared Zotero network database for that. But we already have a database, right? It's right here. Woohoo! Good work. Look at that. So we're going to find out which of these articles are actually useful and what they tell us and how they can guide our planning for this project. Let's talk about timing. We need a couple of weeks to get ready for this. So next week, we'll finalize our methods and we'll start creating our assessments that we need to do. And then we may be able to start after next week, or we may need to work more. And so probably it'll be about 2 weeks from now, we'll be able to start collecting data, which means start posting or not posting. Yeah, maybe we could do it like before spring break and after. Maybe bad. Kids get a little weird before spring break, right?
And after.
After spring.
So maybe wait till after spring break and then do 2 weeks then. Yeah, that might be better. I think that'll be fine in terms of, we want to make sure we get this done early enough in the semester so that you have time to work on your research proposals. That's the big final thing we're going to do this semester. So we want to get this part done so we can move on to that. And so if this gets too long, then it gives you less time for that other thing, and that's bad. So those are sort of the big pictures. But I think we're in pretty good shape. We got a pretty early start this semester, and I think we'll be able to move forward because we got a lot done today. So good work. Excellent. Any sort of questions on the process that we're doing? Hey, what's up, guys? They all did this. Of what we're doing with this research project. How many people do not have a class where they can't do it? I think George is one. Everybody else feeling comfortable they can do it in their class? Good. Excellent. So then we won't have to worry about that too much. Yeah.
Is there another way for students to demonstrate their understanding instead of just writing a raw picture or some other representation that they understand?
Yeah.
Instead of having just one measurement, like writing it out.
Well, we're definitely obviously not going to be able to have, all of our objectives are going to be different. So how we assess them is probably going to be different too. And my guess is that's going to be class dependent. Is my guess. I don't know. What other people think?
Another question from me though is, should we, if we do like the exit ticket, should we all do the same?
The same type?
Say the exact same one, like we draft specific type of exit ticket.
Well, unless we were doing a reflection one, like Alicia does, they'd have to be, if they're content specific, they're going to be different. Because we're all teaching different content. But hopefully the idea of just having, we'll have to figure out some way to score it in some common way.
Well, if we have
Oh.
1 week, would the end of the week with some sort of assessment?
Didn't see project the second week. See project there didn't have at the end of that.
Yeah, but her subjective 1 through 5 thing answers all these problems.
Mhm.
I just feel like that's.
Thank you.
Anyway, it's gonna be
But did we say 2 minutes, right?
You do her thing in 2 minutes.
The number only actually was really quick.
It is great, because I can barely get through a lesson.
Because you have it on there and then you said circle, like, real quick, like, you have like one short sentence why.
Right, and that gives us 16 people a pretty common instrument. What's the kid's perception? Now, is that proof of when something? Oh, no, but there's gonna be a correlation.
I mean, they're really confident themselves. Actually, you know what, I'm surprised.
But the point is, you
They
go
were
out.
actually really clear what they were
Cool. So next week, when we do this, we're gonna need to divide and conquer a little bit. We need some people to work out our plan for what is allowed and not allowed in terms of variations on our intervention. Wait, that's not the word. Yeah. Right. And then we'll have to have other groups that are working on a consent document so that we can have a consent document that we can all use. And we'll figure out some assessment instruments and some rubrics that we can use to sort of get some data on this. We want to be both qualitative and quantitative on this, and so we want to maybe do some observation data as well. To use the students' data in our research.
Because we're gonna have work samples.
Then we don't use their data. So we toss their data out if we don't use it. What?
Oh, I said, I'm sure we're gonna have work samples to look at, so.
We're gonna have what?
Student work samples, so you're not gonna be able to use their work if you're not.
Yeah, technically, actually, we could. There's a loophole to the IRB because it's part of a class. Yeah, but we're gonna do it anyway because it's good practice. So, and this is a research methods course, so that's the kind of stuff we do.
I think from my district, I was talking to a teacher, and they said, when they come to my district, they specifically have to sign, I don't want to be filmed. So it's automatically they sign away.
Yeah, district too, there's.
So if they don't sign that, it's assumed that you can fill it.
Yes.
It's assumed they go on, they can be filmed.
Yes, so I have a list of students
Oh yeah,
on campus.
the
that
no film
grade
list.
Who cannot be photographed, videotaped, audio taped, or anything. So like, I need to know that because I work on the yearbook, so I need to make sure I don't.
Were we talking about recording anything?
No,
Sorry, did I miss something? Maybe I did.
Consent form.
No, but consent forms for research. We're doing it for using their data in the research, not for any videotaping or filming unless we want to.
Oh.
I don't know. I mean, I'm open to different ideas.
How we introduce that. This is almost a reaction to us.
It hasn't come up yet, but there may be a reason for it. All right, so next week we've got more work to do to work out those things. And like I said, we'll form up into groups. So if you know what part you want to work on, that's fine. We'll figure that out next week. And then we'll collect some data, and then we'll learn how to do some statistics in order to analyze it. So that'll be lots of fun. And then we'll get the results, and we'll know something. Well, we'll know. Cool. All right. So good work. We did some readings the last few weeks. We're getting, I think, almost about as far as we can go with the How People Learn book before it starts to get too boring. And also, there's some other really fun readings I want to get to. I want to read some Freakonomics. Exactly. How many people have read Freakonomics before? All right. So this might be a reread for some of you. Really good. The podcast is fabulous. I love that. I might actually assign some podcasts. Some of those are really good. We don't have to read all the time, right? We can use multimedia. So I want to get that. So this is going to be our last week with this book. So if you hate it, that's a good thing. And in fact, I'm going to give you a choice. We can read either chapter 6, which is all about learning environments, which is a very good chapter. It talks about having a learning environment that is knowledge-centered or assessment-centered or student-centered? And what does that mean? And how can you be all three at once? That kind of thing. Or chapter 9, which is about technology. And of course, you're all interested in technology, but I've got to put a little caveat on this. This is old technology. I mean, this book's been out a while. This book's been out 15 years.
Oh.
A lot of that technology is older than that. They talk in there about a really great program called Thinker Tools, which I was involved with in my younger years. And it's not quite that old, but pretty close. So if you want to look at some old technology stuff and how people write about it and stuff, it's interesting to look at.
79, 78, 98.
There's a lot of fabulous work done by Berider and Scardamelia on kids sharing information and like collaborating on their work from the 80s, which is amazing because there was no internet in the 80s. But what they did is they wired up a school with a local area network, and they had a server, and so the kids could share their work across the school. It was amazing, incredible stuff. But that's about as old as I would ever have you read anything about. We do also need to read about the controversy. Let me see, when does that come up here? There's a very controversial article. Should we get into it now? What chapter is that? I usually have people read that in 618, so I don't even think it's on here. All right, I'm gonna have to bump some stuff. I'm not gonna bump Freakonomics, so don't worry about it. We need to read that. Really, I didn't. I thought I added that in here. All right. So I'll bump some stuff because we have to read about the controversy about an article written by Richard Clark, who's still a professor at USC. He wrote an article in, I want to say like 82 or something like that, and then it got debated for like decades about education technology, which is mostly just sort of for historical interest, but it does raise some good points. And also is relevant to when we start planning our own research. So one of the things what this is all building up to, as I mentioned before, is that we're going to write a research proposal at the end of the semester. So we're thinking about ideas for your own project. Now, what kinds of projects can you do? So how do we describe what we're doing with this posting the objectives study? What kind of a project is that? Action research. AR, as some people like to refer to it. Action research. So, can you do AR for your master's project?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Do you have to do AR for your action research project? No. A lot of people like to do things that are more about developing some cool new tool. Right? They want to build they have this idea in their head of this technology that will really help kids learn, and so they want to build it. And that can be a good project. We call that a development project. So you're building something. We do require a certain amount of research to go with that, but it's not the same as doing action research. You don't have to collect as much data or do as much on the research side in terms of analysis. You have to do some, but you're going to spend most of your time developing. Like that. Anybody have an idea that they might want to go towards more of a development project? Thinking about it?
Yeah.
You're a pretty hardcore coder.
Yeah, exactly. I can code.
I've seen your
Yeah. If you're doing a development project, you've got to be really focused and know what you're doing, because it's really easy to bite off more than you can chew. Action research is a good thing. And some people have done other stuff like surveying teachers like across the district. I mean, that's not really action research because it's not about your class, but I mean, different things that can be done. Trying to think of, you could do I don't think people use this anymore, but for a while people used the term microgenetic. a lot of like the interviews that we did, like especially the one Alicia did where they were solving problems and you're trying to figure out what people are thinking while they're solving a problem. They call that a microgenetic study because it's really trying to get down into what people are thinking about stuff. So you can do that kind of study too. So those are some of the things. So you were thinking about projects that might be interested to you. What are like the big topics in ed tech these days? I mean, you guys haven't read a whole lot yet.
Phones in the classroom.
Phones in the classroom.
Blended, flipped.
What do you mean by one-on-one?
Because sometimes, like, they have the technology, but they're not using it, or they don't have, like, they.
Oh, like one-to-one computers?
Yeah.
Yeah. So setups where you've got one-to-one computers. What does Khan Academy do? It's like, yeah. But it's like Khan Academy gets used for flipping the classroom, so that's a big topic. And also because now Khan Academy has all these questions, and it will give you hints and stuff if you get questions wrong. And so the buzzword for that is that's a tutoring system. So if you're into like Carnegie or Alex, how do you say it? Alex. Then that's those are also tutoring systems where they give you questions, they tell you if you're right or wrong. It's math. They have them for a few other stuff, but more in math than anything else, for sure. So tutoring systems are still very important. What's the other big topic that everybody is all excited about the last few years? There's a couple more actually I can think of. What did you say? Apps? Yeah. I mean, I don't know. App seems kind of generic. Like an app could do anything.
Game-based learning?
Game-based learning is huge, right? Games, educational games, gamification. Those ideas are really big. So there's some stuff on that. So now that you know how to find literature, you know how to like go out and find literature on a topic that's interesting to you. I'll try to. Another place you can go to find out what's hot is what's getting talked about at the conferences, right? So what are the big ed tech conferences?
Multimedia. Switch from print to digital.
Oh, to go to a digital classroom, working in the cloud. Exactly. What are
the conferences that you're saying?
Q is a big conference. What else?
I don't know.
There's a Google.
Google conference.
In Riverside?
The Google Apps for Education conference. Gappy.
Yeah.
Yeah. STEM. I'm not sure about. So the other big conference is ISTE. People know ISTE,
Yes.
right?
Every year I beg to go, and the only time they allow me was in
ISTE.
San Diego.
International Society for Technology and Education.
Colorado this year.
Those are the people that put out this what's the standards called? This I want to say ZAPS, but it's not ZAPS. It's the standards for ed tech. Where is that?
No, that was on the same we had.
So
They have a button for standards.
there you go. Standards for students. But what's the acronym for the standards? I guess they're just called the ISTE standards now. They used to call them something else. Yeah, so they have standards for technology because, of course, we don't have standards, but the ISTE organization has created their own standards, which you will often see cited as, oh, I'm following the ISTE standards. It's nice because they have standards both for what students are supposed to do with technology, and they are things like using creativity and using research and information fluency. So they're kind of cool. And so if your principal wants to know what standards you're teaching, you say, oh, I'm teaching the ISTE standards. And they'll go, what? But some of them have heard about it. But it's also a very good conference. And so there's ISTE 2016 is coming up, and they're always in the summertime. This is in Denver coming up. I did send you a link this week about that you can get some money for travel if you want to go to something like this.
$100 are not enough.
No, it's terribly not enough. No, absolutely right. Denver.
I got family.
There you go.
Me too.
Go stay with family, Mile High City.
I was like, I just thought about that.
There you go.
But your link is for people who are presenters or speakers, right?
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't read it all the way.
Yeah.
All right. Well, yeah. So maybe next year you can go present something at Q or can present something at ISTE. Once you've done your research project, then you'll have something to present. That'd be cool. No, but it's a really good conference. There's other good tech conferences out there. The eLearn conference is also very good. I haven't been there in a long time, but it can be quite good. There's a Scratch conference coming up. That's one I'm probably not going to go to, but if you want to find out what's happening in ISTE, so you might look up ISTE conference 2015, see what the people were talking about last year, and so you can look and see what was in the program here, some of the highlights. You can see okay, what happened at the conference last year, Google Tools for Learning. Young Educator Strand. Learning playgrounds. Maker spaces, I think, are another big topic at the conference last year.
3D printing.
3D printing, that's kind of stuff.
Too bad. Totally. It was like $100 less. Right, we're only part-time students, right?
Yes. Why?
Because it's like $100 cheaper to be a full-time student.
You might be considered full-time for graduate school.
I mean, fine.
I'm not sure what the rules are. I think you might qualify. Because undergrads and grad school is different.
Yeah.
For an undergrad, you need like 12. For a grad student, it might be 9. Yeah. Cool. So building Android apps with App Inventor. Cool. iBooks. Mind the Gap. Technologies to support diverse learners. Minecraft. So you can see what some of the hot topics are from last year's ISTE conference, and so you can get some ideas that. So if you don't have a plan, some of you already have a thought about what you want to do. If you don't have a thought, you might do some research to sort of poke around and see, oh, I could do that in my class, or yeah, that's terrible, I'm never going to do that. Yeah.
Should our topic sort of be, if we're planning long-term, like a PhD or something like that level, should the topic that we pick be somewhat relevant or usable once we decide to go further? Or just what's your advice?
I would be. It probably is not a bad idea. It won't work because when you get to a PhD program, you'll have to do something entirely different. But that's sort of the nature. But that doesn't mean it was bad to think ahead originally.
Like that student who did the site on mathematics.
Jake Chips, yes. Right.
I mean, his entire thing was that. And this could be a good.
Yeah, that could have been a doctorate, for sure. It's a great project. The Beyond Calculus project that we looked at, Jake Chips. Joseph Chips.
So this project's mostly gonna be done next year.
Starting in the fall. We'll try to collect all the data in the fall semester. That's our goal.
The problem I'm having is the thing that I was thinking about doing is kind of with my math intervention class, but that's not guaranteed that I would teach that class.
Yeah, that's a big problem. We've had many a project be really good, and then people got assigned different classes to teach and had to revise their plan.
Alright.
Yeah. So I don't know. We could lean on your administrator and say, please, please, please give me this class.
It's a class that not many want, so I don't know if it'll be a problem.
Yeah, might not be a problem, but
You said intervention, that's always the class.
asking early is probably a good thing to do. What is the live chat for last year's conference?
How live is that? Wow.
Interesting. Cool. Anyway.
I feel like they actively are pretending.
Well, it's not your topics in the new SED too.
I don't think they posted him yet. I don't think they posted a schedule. We can look. They might have the keynote speakers though. So 20 seconds. 16,000 educators. Yeah, so this is just register information. They don't have any schedule posted. It's too early. Yeah, they sent out another thing, right? How many people are going to go to Q? I think I've asked this like twice already.
Probably.
Cool. March.
17, 18, and 19 of March.
Coming up. Oh yeah, this guy.
I just go sleep in my van. I understand all the.
Wait,
I found it.
so Palm Springs is the national one. It's good. It's a little pricey for registering. And what is it this year? It's like $350 or something. Oh, 300. Okay, good.
I get paid through Title II for my school.
I've done Title II stuff, that works.
Yeah, I'm waiting for the approval, but I mean,
Oh, but it's
that's how we've
that's
done
for
it.
members, there's it's 370 for non-members.
370 for non-members. So you could get a membership.
340 is new.
$40 to be a member.
No, you can register on site. They'll charge you the higher. It would have been cheaper if you register early, but yeah. Do they have a day rate? Sometimes they have a 1 day rate.
They only allow Saturday,
It's like $100
1 day rate. I tried that.
Yeah.
This time around, they
So
just
1 day
give you
rental.
Saturday 1 day.
Yeah, it's not a bargain.
Not a lot is happening on Saturday.
Yeah.
17.
So,
Thursday.
we definitely do. Is anybody presenting? Nobody's presenting, right? If you do present at a conference, even a small conference, let us know. We can get you some funding for that. Even if you're an alum, been out a couple of years, we'll give it a shot. If no current students are claiming the money, we'll give it to an alum for sure.
That's sweet, that's
Yeah.
nice.
So anyway, so encouraging to do that. Every year I say we're going to get a master's group together from this project and apply Q, and I always miss the deadline. So next year for sure.
Yeah, we'll remind you.
I always say that.
We will remind you.
Good. You do that. All right. So we were talking a little bit about this book, and like I said, we're going to finish this book up. And so you have your choice of reading one or two things. Oh, I need to change the
What about
prompt
7 and
for
8?
the writing.
About those chapters?
Let's skip 7 and 8.
That's weird.
They're boring. They're okay. What about chapters 4 and 5? So chapter 4 was all about the infants and stuff. What was interesting about that? What about ZPD? Cool.
I thought it was
Yeah, I had to read that.
like the way that they figured out.
The testing of the infants?
Yeah,
That
the
one?
testing of
That's so
the
cool.
infants, that was really cool.
Yeah, I like the sucking
Yeah,
frequency.
they can-
Well, I like the holding thing that was an impossibility, so we can read.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And they started it longer, just like those methods.
Well, when I read about the tabula rasa, I immediately thought of research now where people like put headphones on their belly when they're pregnant, so that the unborn baby even like start. Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's gonna be you.
Sure. I'm sure that worked. We could look and see if there's any literature on that. I'm feeling.
I'm not letting you talk to me.
Yeah, but those companies with the Mozart and me or whatever it's called, those little baby ones, those guys, yeah, people push them back. They got lawsuits.
What?
Baby Einstein, they got lawsuits
Oh,
on those
that's,
guys.
why is that?
Well, no, Baby
Because it doesn't
Mozart is
work.
Oh,
the little videos.
I meant Mozart, I meant Einstein, she's right.
I know, my.
Just like regular Mozart for baby.
Series.
Try Pink Floyd.
That was weird.
So many crazy.
No, but giving videos to an infant, in my opinion, is bad, Jocelyn. It's self-evidently bad.
They keep quiet. That's useful sometimes.
That's true.
There wasn't a whole lot of there about older kids. Anything that thought of your students?
Yeah, because I know the link so you can hear how strange some of the indigenous, like to our ears, how strange it sounds. And I thought of that because they're coming in with zero education, zero knowledge of written script. And so they, if you're gonna, yet they pick up things so quickly because they're not like they have experience with language, it's just not a language that we would identify. So they can pick things up. Sounds that other students, because students that are mainly Spanish speaking have a hard time with the TH phoneme, like in 30, they can't do it in like or the.
Mm-hmm.
It's very hard, and yet these students pick that up quickly because it's naturally in their language. So it's just an interesting thing. Right away, I thought of that with the links. Like,
I thought of something not even anything to do with my kids, but when I was reading about that same thing where you can't just learn language from like watching TV per se, or you have to learn it. And I was looking at a body of work from this artist that paints portraits of famous feral children. So they've never, even once they're taken out of the wild and put in civilization, they can never learn language. Like, most of them can never speak to this day. Actually, that was sort of funny because my husband is German and he came here for grad school and he says that he learned English not in school but watching the Love Boat.
Oh.
That's funny. So,
You need some.
Maybe you do this. Lucy.
I love Lucy.
I love Lucy. She would have all the she knew all the commentary.
Did they speak more like Lucy or Ricky?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, language is fascinating. So you all know the literature that infants are able to pick up lots of different sounds, right? And then you sort of lose that. They figure that those parts of your brain tend to
Well, that's kind of like what they talk about.
atrophy
the synapses
somehow.
Building
They
up
get-
and then destroying themselves
Yeah.
as you learn things.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Like with the Japanese and English, the L and R,
Mm-hmm.
it just becomes not
Exactly.
usable.
they were saying how the kids that infants got bored after hearing the same sound, they would stop sucking on their pacifier, but the minute they changed the sound to something different, they would start sucking
Mm-hmm.
on their pacifier. That was really interesting.
Yeah.
I like how they tested for counting in babies, with the pattern.
Mm-hmm.
The kids would expect the third time they would look and expect it.
Uh-huh.
So they are able
And then
to
if there was
count.
something different, then you could tell.
Isn't that more rhythm than actual pattern counting?
But isn't rhythm counting? I mean,
Yeah, that's kind
They notice there's something missing.
Like crows, you count to 7, you measure it by watching people over the barn, watching people out of the barn.
so for chapter 5, I told you to be prepared to be disappointed. What did you think?
Which chapter?
So chapter 5 was about the brain research. Okay, good. So what did we learn about the brain?
Multiple.
We lose a lot of it stuff.
We learned about memory, right?
Yes.
How many things?
Plus or minus 7.
Yeah,
7 plus or minus 2 things, and you can demonstrate that pretty easily. I mean, you just get a bunch of things to read, and when you get up to 11 things, it just people can't do that.
Yeah.
Oh, did you?
We tested it out, and we all for about 7.
And I repeated it with my students,
Uh-huh.
with the link to his page, and we have the same results in class.
I mean, it really does seem to be a biological thing that of course we can work around with mnemonics and other ways to chunk information, right? But it is kind of a limit.
It was interesting to learn that this is something we do, but then you read, oh, there is a name for that. You think like you're doing something out of the ordinary, but no, let people do it.
So a lot of the brain research, they're doing these brain scans, and for a while they were all trying to figure out where are those 7 things, right? Like where in the brain, which is slot number 1, because they're thinking like it's a computer, right? So you've got where's part number 1, where's part number 2. They know generally the part of the brain it is, but they were never able to identify it. They didn't talk too much about the brain research. I mean, there wasn't a lot of findings about the studies that they did it for a while. The NSF was putting out these huge grants for anybody that could do brain research that was important to education, and they gave it a lot of money. The only thing I ever read that seemed like it actually said something that might be useful for teachers, they did a study of people solving math problems. I'm looking at Kyle. They found out the part of the brain that solves a math problem is a different part of the brain than one that estimates an answer. So that was cool. I mean, and unfortunately there have not been lots of other cool findings like that from all the brain research that we've done.
This is about the plasticity. I think was a great deal.
Yeah, the plasticity stuff,
The old doctrine, no, it's not true. It's a lot more plastic than you think. Hey, you just had a stroke. You know what? This stuff we can do. And for a
the
kid,
brains are not as fixed as we thought they were.
Yeah.
That they're constantly evolving. Well, did they talk about the phantom limbs in the chapter? I forget whether they talked. No, I don't think they did. So there was this guy down in San Diego, Ramachandran, who got really famous because he was studying amputees and their brains, and he figured out that the big problem with amputees is the phantom limb syndrome. So you feel like you've lost an arm, and then you feel it itch, right? And obviously, you can't scratch it anywhere. And so they were figuring out that the brain was kind of rewiring itself so that the part of the brain that was controlling that arm is now going to take over other functions. And so other things would actually get better because you had more of the brain sort of controlling it. Yeah, but the itch thing was still a problem. And so from that, they figured out brains that they still do evolve even after you get older, like us. It's not all about the kids, but we can still learn new things. But yeah, so there's some cool stuff out there. It's not immediately applicable in the classroom, a lot of that, but hopefully we're getting to something that's interesting. A while back, I had a link on here for this thing called the Chinese Room. Did anybody check out the Chinese Room? Where I'm trying to remember what week it was. I'm just gonna search.
It was the first or second.
Yeah. So, all right. So this guy Searle, what's his name? John Searle. He's a philosopher and he's interested in artificial intelligence. And so he was very much a skeptic. I don't buy that computers can think, right? It's not thinking, right? So he proposed this thought experiment as an analogy to what a computer does. He says, what if you were sat in a room with a slot in the door and you're isolated in there? You can't talk to anybody, you can't see anything. And all you have is this big book in front of you. And in comes this, presumably you don't know Chinese at this point. In comes this paper through the slot, and on it has some Chinese markings. And you look up those Chinese markings in a book, and it tells you some other Chinese markings, and so you write the other Chinese markings in it, and you put it out. That's the Chinese room thing. And so you're answering questions that are coming in the thing, but you don't know what the question is, and you don't know what the answer is. You're just looking it up in your book and figuring out the answer. So do you know Chinese?
Not setting.
No, that would be crazy to say you know Chinese. You don't know anything about Chinese. But is that what a computer does? If you ask a computer a question?
Pretty much.
Does the computer know what you're asking it? When you ask Siri?
I'm just
If you ask Siri,
Matches.
well, Siri's been programmed to come up with an answer for your
What
question.
does it mean to know something?
Exactly.
Yes. I mean,
This is
Chinese room
this
example
is
you
the
just
Chinese
gave,
room.
Your brain kind of does that. If you knew Chinese, your brain would consider the characters you're reading to maybe an action or an idea.
Right. So
and then you respond to it in the same way.
So presumably the question might say something like, what sound does a cow make? And then you would be looking in the book and it would give you the character for moo, but you didn't know it was moo and you didn't know the question was what. But if you did know, how is that different? What's different about knowing versus not knowing? You still get the same answer.
Because you have got a context to glue it onto. The book this gives you that. The context makes the totality of it.
And probably again, imagine hearing the movie, and imagining how,
Visualizing it,
Yeah.
imagining it, yeah.
and hearing it, I mean, you know what the sound is like.
Right. All right. So if you have some time over the week, you might take a look at the Chinese room. So you looked at it, checked it out. What did you think? That's interesting. It's an interesting controversy, getting at the idea of what computers do and how is that different from what humans do. Searle comes to an odd conclusion. His conclusion is that the knowing part is in the chemistry, which is I find that a little strange. But anyway, because computers are digital and they do everything digitally, and so brains must be different, and so it must be the thing that's different, and so it must be the chemistry.
They've made analog computers today.
I don't know. You'll have to ask Searle.
Ask the computer.
Interestingly enough, Searle was also famous at Berkeley for getting rid of rent control.
Really?
He owned a lot of rental units, and he sued the city. And we think it was mostly his wife, but so yeah, he wasn't popular for that either.
His fault.
That's right. So now we don't need to worry about his Chinese room
Every
anymore.
year for the last 4 years.
Anyway, all right, that's enough. If
But there's a way to beat the system if you're.
feel free, you can listen to Searle's lectures on the subject. He's a very interesting speaker and very engaging. Although I still don't get his answer.
Chapter 6 or 9, there's another reading you mentioned, or?
Nope, that's it. Oh, the other reading you mentioned is the paper that you found on objectives. So, yes, so this is the assignment for next week. We're reading How People Learn, one more chapter, and then read the paper that you found, and I put a link to the lit review in there in case you were confused as to what that meant.
So what is the chapter, or are we?
Yes, you're reading either 6 or 9.
Oh. And then
Your choice.
we're just reading one of these, the article we posted, do we have to rate?
And you're gonna write a little summary right on this page here, so if you're in Burns, write a little summary right there for us to check out next week. And we will do a quick lit review, instant lit review thing here. We've got a nice citation list already. This is great. Oh, keep it short. Paragraph,
I can do that.
nice and short, concise, main points.
What is
Don't copy and paste the abstract though. Definitely paraphrase, right?
Is it
Okay, that's because I had to submit a prayer.
Yes, still summarize it though.
Don't worry, my number's.
You can switch papers though if you want, if you really hate it. I mean, I won't know.
Whether or not it's good to have an objective posting it.
I don't think there's actually a place to do it. If I did it right,
It did, but it was like, the date is off. The date's like a year.
yes, there's no place for you to enter anything, right?
Exactly.
That's just for me to put a grade for you.
And get the rest of it.
We should go through how Moodle works at some point, right? You guys want to see the inside of Moodle? I got to get my server up and running.
And get the
We
food.
can show you the back end of Moodle and how it all works and how you run it as a teacher.
I gotta get dinner from Curb.
Yeah.
Excellent, get to it.
She's delivered. It's fresh.
You're fine. Area of.
Nice. Awesome.
How to find an error.
Oh,
Do you want me to play the Chinese room thing while we eat?
Mark's getting the hot meat.
Hot meat.
You know, last week he gave a very generalized description of what it is. And so I'm calling it hot meat. And this veggie sandwich is a food.